Chapter 1109. What's a big fish? Lin Muyu asked. Li Xiaoyao smiled mysteriously, took a sip of his coffee and said, the invincible existence that gallops across the sea is a big fish. Invincible, on the sea? Lin Muyu frowned and lowered her voice. That's an aircraft carrier. Do you want to make a move against the 7th Fleet in the South China Sea during the military exercise? Is it true? It's not necessarily the 7th Fleet. Li Xiaoyao's gaze became fiery and he said, the M nation's navy is too strong. We don't have an absolute chance of winning a head-on confrontation, so we can't beat the big brother, but we can always teach the little brother a lesson. The ships of both countries can be included in our plan. Our purpose is just to make a show of force and let the M nation know their limits. Do you need my help? If we plan to make a move against the M nation, then we will definitely need your help. What's your plan specifically? A suicide plan? Damn, seriously? Li Xiaoyao laughed and lowered his voice again and said, Lin Ji, do you know about martial arts? A little bit. Unlike martial arts used for shows, martial arts has real lethality. That's right. Li Xiaoyao glanced at Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Lin Yan and the others in the distance and said, in the past few years, I have been in contact with a lot of martial arts experts. 2 of them have the strength of the Yang Yan realm, and there are also some experts of the Qi-controlling realm, a total of more than a dozen people. According to the higher-ups, I plan to form a special action team to deter the demonstration exercise in the South China Sea with the strength of people. It would be best if we can destroy a few frigates or something. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. Li Xiaoyao's hair stood on end from his laughter, and he felt uncertain in his heart. Damn, what are you laughing at? Lin Muyu's eyes turned solemn. Xiaoyao, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but tell me honestly, how deep can your sword penetrate the reinforced iron plates of the warship? Air? Li Xiaoyao pursed his lips. At most 1 to 2 meters. If I do it a few more times, I will have no problems cutting down a frigate. The premise is that the soldiers on the frigate won't shoot you. Lin Muyu's words hit the nail on the head. If they notice and start shooting, you'll need to divert some of your strength to maintain the protective upstanding qi. In that case, you won't be able to penetrate the multi-layered steel plates of a frigate within 10 attacks, right? Not to mention those larger warships, their isolation armor is extraordinarily thick. That's right. Li Xiaoyao took a deep breath and said, that's why I can't even consider attacking the carrier. That's even more dangerous. Using manpower to fight against such a huge war machine is a fantasy in itself. Not to mention that it's only flesh and blood at the moment. If I'm not wrong, Xiaoyao, you just want to hunt those small boats that are sailing alone, and they're from country Y. You saw through me. Li Xiaoyao spread his hands. But there's no other way. We can only use this method to attack our opponents. Otherwise, our territorial integrity in the South China Sea will just be empty talk. If you need me, I'll help you. It's a deal. Lin Muyu thought about the South China Sea and said, coincidentally, I also have something to do in the South China Sea. What is it? Can you tell me? Summon an army sleeping in the depths of the South China Sea. What? An army? Li Xiaoyao's eyes widened. How is that possible? There's an army sleeping at the bottom of the sea. Could it be a nuclear submarine force? That's not right. According to my understanding, we don't have submarines performing missions at the edge of the South China Sea. It's another army. Lin Muyu smiled and said, the Gonggang Navy, 30,000 people, each with strength similar to yours. My God, Li Xiaoyao was completely shocked. There's really such a group of monsters sleeping at the bottom of the South China Sea? That's right. But Xiaoyao, you don't have to worry. These people are just soldiers. Compared to you, they don't have your talent, nor do they have your unique conditions. In the future, your realm will definitely far surpass theirs. Lin Ji, I really can't see through you anymore. When will this fishing plan be carried out? Lin Muyu asked. Within a week. That's good. There's still time to soak in the hot spring. Haha, are you going to bring Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi? It just so happens that there are private rooms for couples. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had lived in the Broken Cauldron realm for a long time, so they didn't know about hot springs. There were few hot springs in the Broken Cauldron realm, and the girls in the Broken Cauldron realm were naturally shy and unwilling to undress in nature. However, Lin Muyu had seen Tang Xiaoxi bathing in the river, and she still couldn't forget it. Hearing that they could take a hot bath like this, the girls were all very happy. After Li Xiaoyao arranged for everyone to stay in the hotel rooms of the resort, they began to gather and went to the hot spring bath in the middle of the night. Lin Muyu accompanied his 2 wives to change clothes. In fact, it was just a simple bath towel. After waiting for a while, Lin Muyu saw the two beauties walk out with bath towels wrapped around their bashful appearances. For a moment he was stunned. In these years, the biggest change that Qinyin and Tang Xiaoxi had changed was that their figures had matured a lot. The short bath towels wrapped around their bodies made people's blood boil. It was simply impossible not to think about it. I heard that they will take a bath together? Fei also walked out. There are some fake mountains in the way, but they definitely won't be able to block us, Lin Muyu said. Fei giggled. I believe in the character of the three kings of gaming. Let's take a bath together. Can we? Lin Muyu looked at his two wives. Qinyin gently nodded. In any case I'll follow you. Tang Xiaoxi smiled. I'm fine with it. Fortunately, the fog in the hot spring was very thick, so it was almost impossible to see their figures. Lin Muyu brought Qinyin and Tang Xiaoxi to a corner of the hot spring. Immediately, the moderate temperature made them feel extremely comfortable. Along with the sound of the water, Li Xiaoyao and Lin Yan also came over. They were chatting with Fei. Lin Muyu looked at Qinyin and Tang Xiaoxi and asked, "How do you feel?" The two girls looked at him with wide eyes and nodded in unison. Very comfortable. Lin Muyu took a closer look. Tang Xiaoxi was lying in the hot spring, a faint fiery glow appearing on the surface of her body, merging with the ripples of the water. It was as if she was naturally formed. The overgod of the law of fire was indeed different. Her exceptional ability to comprehend was something that no ordinary god could compare to. Meanwhile, Qinyin was leaning against Lin Muyu's side, a faint layer of golden light surrounding her, protecting her body from being seen by others. For a moment, it was a beautiful sight to behold. Lin Muyu lowered her head and kissed Qinyin on the cheek, then turned around and kissed Tang Xiaoxi. She smiled and said, "You two stay here for a while longer. I'm going to find Li Xiaoyao and talk business." And so Lin Muyu swam over and Lin Yan also greeted, "Xiaoji, come over and brag. Don't spend all day with your girlfriend." "Brother, what are you guys talking about?" Lin Muyu leaned against a bamboo on the shore, half of her body submerged in the water. Lin Yan looked at his little brother's strong physique and was a bit shocked. "Good boy, you've been training well for so many years. You even have an 8-pack. You're almost as strong as that guy Li Xiaoyao." Li Xiaoyao laughed and said to himself as he fetched water, "This place is so comfortable. If I had known earlier, I would have brought Wan'er and Dong Qing here. Mingyao and Shuiro are coming back this weekend too. I'm going to be so busy." Lin Muyu said, "Xiaoyao, after you obtained the immortal forged fate, did you realize that your flame power is too strong? Your butterfly sword almost can't handle it." "How did you know?" Li Xiaoyao was a bit shocked. "A few times, the butterfly sword was almost completely melted. Actually, it's a bit deformed now. I'm having a headache about how to solve this problem. Ordinary iron is just ordinary iron. It can't handle divine power, not to mention your pure divine power. Later, I'll look in my space bag and see if there's a sword that's suitable for you." "What are you guys talking about?" Fei looked confused. At this moment, Qinyin said, "Brother Yu, Li Xiaoyao is your friend. If he treats you well, why don't you give him the star sword?" "That's fine. Xiaoyin, throw the sword over." "Okay." Qinyin stretched out her hand and waved it gently. She immediately took out the star sword from her space bag. It shone brightly like the stars in the sky and pierced into the rock behind Lin Muyu and Li Xiaoyao with a clang. Sparks flew everywhere. 1/3 of the sword's blade was pierced into the rock, and the delicate and majestic hilt was slowly vibrating in the air. "How is it? Do you like it?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Fei almost fainted. "Where did Xiaoyin get this sword?" "Damn, what kind of people are you? I really don't understand you." Li Xiaoyao, on the other hand, was so excited that his face was flushed. He reached out to touch it and felt a majestic force coming from the sword. It was as if it had a spirit. He slowly pulled out the star sword and said with a trembling voice, It's a divine weapon." Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Xiaoyao, there's a sword soul sealed in this sword. It's a senior that I respect very much. He was persecuted by a villain and turned into a sword soul. Therefore there's an elder that lives in this sword. I hope you can treat this sword well and not use it to do anything you want." "Okay." Li Xiaoyao nodded with a determined look. "Don't worry. I, Li Xiaoyao, am a magnanimous person. I've never done anything shameful, not now and not in the future." "That's good. I'm relieved." Li Xiaoyao happily caught the hilt of the sword that Qinyin threw at him from afar. He put away the star sword and buried his body in the hot spring again. He smiled and said, Linji, what about you? What have you experienced? I'm not as magnanimous as you. Lin Muyu seemed to be a little depressed. She raised her head and leaned against the hot spring. She looked at the stars in the sky and said, "The world is unpredictable. In order to protect the things that I care about, I've already done many things that go against my conscience." "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have asked this," Li Xiaoyao said apologetically. Lin Muyu smiled. "It's okay. I don't regret anything that I've done. People are always so complicated. We have to make choices, and the path that I chose is the one that's closest to justice. As for the rest, there's no other way." Okay. Chapter 11:10. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Lanyan City was as peaceful and prosperous as usual. When the stars rose, the land was illuminated by the lanterns, painting a beautiful scene. In the side hall of Zetian Palace, a group of generals sat around a huge round table, staring at each other coldly. No one said a word, just waiting for the person sitting on the easternmost seat to speak. That person held his chin with his hand, snoring thunderously. "General Feng." Murong Tianxing suddenly shouted. "Ah?" Feng Jixing was startled and almost fell to the ground. He hurriedly wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth and asked, "What's wrong? What did you guys talk about?" Nangong Lai held back his laughter and teased, "You actually have the mood to sleep in a pre-war meeting? I can't help but admire you. General Feng's heart is as broad as the sea. Isn't Yangshang's army not here yet? There's no hurry." Feng Jixing glanced at the crowd and said seriously, "The Tongtian province, the 8 Desolation province, the Lingdong province and the Lingkong province in the east have all been set up. It is guaranteed that nothing will go wrong. At the same time, I have also sent many gods to patrol the East Sea. Once Yangshang's people come, we will know in advance. Now, it seems that we are just waiting for Yangshang to make his move. Why don't we take the initiative to attack?" Feng Zhanlin raised his eyebrows and said, "With the power of our Dragon League, defeating Yangshang's 60,000 celestial army is not a problem at all. Plus, we have the help of 8,000 celestial soldiers." "No." Feng Jixing shook his head and said, "Acting rashly will only result in being controlled by others. Even if we win, it will be a Pyrrhic victory. It is better to wait for you to come back before making a decision. Moreover, you have already lost 10 to 20% of your cultivation from the divine realm. So, the most important thing now is to quickly restore your strength." While talking, Feng Jixing's eyes fell on a spot on the map in the center of the table and continued, "The East Sea is the best place for us to start the final battle, and the final battle needs you use 30,000 Gong Gong Navy warriors. What do you think?" Nangong Lai smiled and said, "You're still the best when it comes to war. I'm a crude person, so I won't say so much." Zhang Wei immediately laughed. "If we're talking about being rough, I think Commander Nangong is definitely not as rough as me." Nangong Lai touched his nose. "You filthy guy." Feng Jixing stood up and said in a steady voice, "Then today's meeting will end here. Everyone go back and cultivate. Wei Chou, stay here. I have something to tell you." "Yes." Everyone dispersed, leaving only Wei Chou, Sidu Sen, Sidu Shui and a few other generals of the Dragon's Courage army. "What's wrong, General Feng?" Wei Chou asked. "How's the construction of the warships going? The 7 large shipyards along the river are all working hard and we have enough funds. In 2 months tops, we will have over 1,000 warships. Don't worry, General Feng." That's good." Feng Jixing nodded, smiled and said, "Kit, how's your practice of the Ho Yi Bao?" Wei Chou took a deep breath and said, "With Lord Candle Dragon's guidance, I've been improving pretty fast. Although I can't shoot with 1,000 steps, but at least I've made some progress. Come, let me have a look." Feng Jixing pointed at the outside of the side hall and said, "There are lanterns hanging on the eaves of the main hall, pick one. It's quite far, at least 300 steps." Sidu Shui stuck out her tongue. Wei Chou smiled and did not say anything. With a raise of his hand, a fiery red light condensed into the image of the Ho Yi Bao, and he pulled the bowstring. Immediately, the sound of the bowstring being pulled could be heard. Streams of demonic energy flowed from Wei Chou's arm into the bowstring, transforming into a shooting sun arrow. Wei Chou's aim was extremely fast, and the moment he pulled the bowstring, he released the arrow. Shwa! The arrow flew out, and immediately, a lantern in the distance fell to the ground. The energy form of the shooting sun arrow continued to move forward after shooting the lantern, and pierced a hole in the glazed roof. Its power was extremely shocking. "Not bad," Feng Jixing praised. "The power of an ancient divine weapon is indeed extraordinary. With such lethality, Wei Chou, what level of opponents do you think you can kill? Wei Chou frowned and said, my current cultivation is at level 27 Grotto Heaven. With Senior Candle Dragon's help, I might be able to break through in a short period of time. Once I step into the God King realm, I believe I can easily kill gods below level 80 Grotto Heaven. Good. Feng Jixing clapped his hands and said, if we really start a war with the Great Shang of the Celestial Pole Continent, you only need to be responsible for killing the gods within range. 1 arrow for 1 is the best. I will send 10 God Emperors to protect you, and no one will be able to get close to you. What do you think? Wei Chou was stunned. General Feng, are you serious? Do you think I'm joking? Thank you, General Feng. Wei Chou cupped his fists and said, since General Feng thinks highly of me, I definitely won't disappoint General Feng. I dare not say I can kill 1,000 gods, but as long as I have enough conditions to draw my bow, killing 100 gods is not a problem. In terms of archery, I believe that no one in the world can be better than me, Wei Chou. Moreover, the Hou-Yi bow that His Highness you bestowed to me is a well-deserved ancient divine weapon. Good lad. Feng Jixing patted Wei Chou's shoulder and said with a smile, I like your arrogant and condescending temperament. Cough cough. At the side, Sidu-Sin coughed a few times. Stop flattering each other. I have something to tell you. Well, go ahead. Over the past month, many gods in the Dragon League have bought houses in Lanyan City, and some have even married and had children. It's common for them to fight each other. Do you know about this, General Feng? Yes, I know. Feng Jixing was a little surprised. What's wrong? Sidu-Sin thought for a while and said, the Dragon League is becoming more and more hostile. Many gods don't take the people in the mortal world seriously at all. They're all arrogant. Dare I ask, General Feng, do you think gods should be like this? These ruffian guys run amok in Lanyan City. How can they look like demigods? Gods have fallen long ago. Feng Jixing said thoughtfully, from the moment Luolan helped the Yihe nation rebel, gods no longer have mercy. The word, God, is just a synonym for power. Sidu-Sin continued, maybe so. For the past month, Xiao Han of the Fire Sparrow Division has been busy. There are many cases of gods bullying the weak almost every day. Fire Sparrow Division has more than 3,000 constables deployed every day, but it's still not enough. They even have to mobilize the troops of the Longdan Army Camp and the Imperial Army to coordinate. This is not a long-term strategy after all. I will let Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, Murong Tianxing, and other leaders restrain their subordinates. This matter is settled for the time being. Feng Jixing looked at Situ-Sen and continued, General Sen, what's the situation in the Celestial Pole Continent? It's even worse. Situ-Sen said lightly, this is the only good news. Ever since Yangshang became the emperor of the Celestial Pole Continent, his 60,000 Protoss troops have been eroding the land of the Celestial Pole Continent like a swarm of locusts. Without Yangshang's restraint, these Protoss soldiers have plundered everywhere, oppressed the people and taken advantage of the women. It's already a mess. The people are full of complaints but Yangshang still ignores them. He is only reluctant to leave the harem, and never stops having fun every night. The people of the Celestial Pole Continent are suffering. Feng Jixing punched the table and said, how can these people be gods? They are no different from beasts. Yes. Don't worry about it. Starting from tomorrow, I will personally supervise the behavior of the Protoss soldiers of the Dragon League. Good. Then I can rest assured. Situ-Sin cupped his fists and said, then General Feng, please continue with your work. I will go and inspect the military affairs. You have worked hard. Go. At this time, in the depths of the dragon-seeking forest in the northeast of Lanyan City, the dragon burial ground was silent. Beams of starlight shone down from between the mottled leaves of the forest and landed on the dragon bones. Faint wisps of spiritual energy rose up, but when the spiritual energy rose halfway, it suddenly dispersed as if it was blown away by the wind, turning into nothingness. Under the tree, a white-haired old man couldn't help but be suspicious. He flew up and frowned. What's going on? Why can't the dragon power sublimate on its own? This old man was none other than Chu Chu, who had been cultivating outside for a long time. He was Lin Muyu's first teacher. Now Chu Chu was glowing. He had already stepped into the God Emperor realm. He held a white jade-like walking stick in his hand and slowly landed on the ground. He walked forward on the grass of the dragon tomb, only to find that the flowers around him were gradually withering. They had begun to wither even before the flowering period was over, and the spirit herbs were also dispirited and listless. The entire guardian forest of the dragon tomb was covered in a layer of death aura. Looking up into the sky, invisible wisps of spiritual energy were dissipating in the wind. There was a faint feeling of the wind howling. The vital chi of heaven and earth is disappearing. Chu-Chu's body trembled slightly. What happened? He slowly bent down and opened his palm. Wisps of natural divine power slowly gathered and seeped into a withering flower. Bloom and be reborn. Your life shouldn't have ended like this. The flower slowly raised its head as if it had been given a new life and bloomed. However, Chu-Chu's forehead was covered in sweat. Soon the flower withered again and withered. In the distance, a wolf's howl could be heard. It was the swift wolf. The swift wolf had never dared to go near the dragon tomb because of the presence of the dragon's might. But now that the swift wolf had appeared, it could only mean one thing. The vast dragon power was also weakening. Even the swift wolf, an inferior creature, dared to covet the spirit energy of the dragon tomb. Chu-Chu stood up and looked around the forest with a pair of bright eyes. There, wisps of spiritual energy flew up and dissipated, disappearing in the blink of an eye. It was as if an extremely strong death aura was invading the earth. Something big was about to happen. The power of the laws is weakening. The order is disappearing. What happened? Chu-Chu stood there dejectedly, not knowing what was happening. Chapter 11:11. The birth of Pangu, the birth of heaven and earth, and the birth of the universe. A new order was established, and the heavenly Tao reincarnated, forming 6 central realms in the universe. 8 Wastelands Realm, 6 Harmony Realm, Underworld Realm, Chaos Realm, Palace Realm, and Spiritual Movement Realm. Among them, the Eastern Divine Realm controlled 3, the Western Divine Realm controlled 2, and the Northern Divine Realm controlled the last one, the Underworld Realm. In the southwest of the universe, where heaven and earth were born, it was barren everywhere. This was the end of the universe and also the end of the world. There was nothingness everywhere, and only a ray of light could be seen. The light came from the light of the beginning of chaos. Chaos ended here, and so did the world. In the sky, a towering boulder floated in the universe. On the boulder was a beautiful girl holding a long sword. Her facial features were exquisite, and there was some doubt in her eyes. She sat on the boulder, faintly looking at the ray of light in the distance. Eva, one of the 2 blazing angels of the Western Divine Realm. After Shi Yan descended to the mortal world, Eva had become one of the greatest rulers of the Western Divine Realm. Swoosh! In the distance, a beam of light flew out and landed gently behind Eva. It was a radiant angel. He knelt down respectfully and said, "Subordinate Hui Meng greets Lady Eva." "Hui Meng, what's the matter?" Eva didn't even turn her head. Hui Meng said, "There's news from the Celestial Pole continent. The Yangshang Army and the Dragon League Army of the Eastern Divine Realm have formed a standoff on both sides. A divine war may break out at any time, so Lord Ruler has ordered me to invite Lady Blazing Angel back to the Spirit Palace to discuss important matters." Discuss important matters? Eva frowned. Lord Ruler can't be thinking of attacking the Eastern Divine Realm again, right? Now that Lin Muyu has returned, the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor is like a tiger that has grown wings. We have no strength to deal with the Eastern Divine Realm. That's not the case. Hui Meng said, "As far as I know, Lord Ruler has joined forces with the Supreme of the Dark World of the Southern Divine Realm and is ready to deal a fatal blow to the Dragon League of the Celestial Pole continent. At the same time, of subduing the traitor Shi Yan in the Shattered Cauldron Realm. Ruler still holds a grudge against Sister Haiyan?" Dal absent-mindedly stared into the distance before she said, "Hui Meng, go back and tell the ruler that I have the heavy responsibility of guarding the primal chaos realm. Furthermore, Shi Ming seems to be extremely anxious as of late. If the seal of the 6 realms collapses, I'm afraid that this world will be destroyed along with it." The Western God Realm. The Western God Realm has protected the lives of all living beings for so many years, so we definitely can't afford to make any mistakes. Do I have to repeat myself, Hui Meng? Hui Meng looked troubled. Lord Blazing Angel, before I left, the world of World Saint has been sealed for nearly 100,000 years. It won't happen now either. Lord Blazing Angel, staying here is just a waste of time. On the contrary, the God Realm needs your strength more. I've said it before. Do I have to repeat myself? A hint of anger appeared on Eva's face. I don't dare. Hui Meng knelt down again. At this moment, the roar of a giant beast that shook the universe suddenly came from behind him. Roar, roar, roar. Eva turned around quickly and looked at the dark world of chaos in front of her in shock. Her eyes were filled with worry. Realm of World Saint, what's wrong? As she spoke, she opened her palm. Immediately, a ray of light shot into the sky like a star, illuminating the chaotic world in front of her. There, a huge creature lay in the darkness. Its body was dozens of miles long and its mouth was closed. Light shone out from its closed mouth. Ming, an ancient giant beast, the guardian of chaos. Legend had it that it had once devoured the entire dark demon realm and sealed all the evil energy in its body. Roar roar. Ming seemed to be in great pain. He twisted his huge body and tried to open his mouth. He even spat out wisps of dark blue flames from his mouth. These were extremely strong demonic flames that came from another world. Light flickered and golden runes appeared above Ming's mouth to form a shield. At this time, the runes had already cracked a little. The seal of the 6 realms. Nuawa shuddered and said, "Oh no, the power of the demon realm is attacking the seal of the 6 realms. Once the seal of the 6 realms is destroyed, I'm afraid the world will fall into an unprecedented calamity. What are you waiting for? Return to the God realm immediately and tell the world saint that the seal is in danger. I will stand guard here and ask the world saint to come immediately." "Yes, Lord Eva." Hui Meng didn't dare say anything else. He turned and flew into the darkness. Roar roar roar. Ming's roar became more and more desperate. He shook his huge head, but he couldn't get rid of the great pain coming from his body. Strands of blue flame spurted out from his mouth and formed a huge humanoid figure. It was a man from the devil world with a battle axe in his hand. He had 2 sharp horns on his head and his entire body was blue. He stared straight at Shirwa and laughed. "Is there no one else in the divine world? Only a delicate little girl was sent here to guard the seal of the 6 realms?" Clang. Eva pulled out her sword and said with a cold look in her eyes, "Evil creature, if you want to break the seal of the 6 realms, you'll have to get past me first." The light from the blade soared into the sky. Eva's sword slashed down, forcing the giant's battle axe to retreat. He retreated a lot, and a lot of energy even returned to the giant beast's mouth. "You can't destroy me with just this." He laughed wildly and swung the battle axe in his hand. Nua's stature was petite, but she was nimble and ever-changing. Like lightning, she refracted a few times in the air. She stepped on the handle of the battle axe and rushed forward. The sharp sword was quickly thrust into the mouth of the Devil Realm giant. Rays of light burst out and directly smashed the Devil Realm giant's face into pieces. Shivuli. Amidst the shrill cry, the blue energy returned to the Nether Servant's mouth, but the runes on the 6 realms seal had been greatly damaged, and the characters were constantly disappearing. It seemed that the seal wouldn't be able to last much longer. "Good can't defeat evil. You'll regret this." A hoarse voice came from the demon realm. At the same time, blue flames appeared and condensed into a huge arm that smashed the seal of the 6 realms in the giant beast's mouth. "Damn it!" Huahua flew up and her sword flashed repeatedly, chopping the blue arm into pieces. However, this would not be able to last for long. After all, her divine power would be exhausted, while the power of the devil world seemed to be endless. The huge arm swept across and smashed into Eva's back. The powerful blazing angel groaned and spat out blood as she retreated hundreds of meters. She turned around and saw more power of the demon realm surging out of the giant beast's mouth. Eva gritted her teeth and murmured with a pained expression, "I'm a blazing angel. I'm the protector of the righteous path. I won't allow you to destroy the seal of the 6 realms." Light shot into the sky and her 6 wings flickered. She raised her sword and pounced over again. It was as if her small figure had fallen into the sea. Shattered Cauldron Realm, in the depths of the dragon-seeking forest to the north of Lanyan City, there was a small wooden house on the mountainside. The wooden house was covered with weeds, and it was surrounded by a fence made of bamboo. The fence formed a circle around the house. A pomegranate tree in the yard had already borne red fruits, and a few little rabbits were running on the ground. A beautiful figure descended from the sky with a bamboo basket. She had a refreshing smile on her face. "Little rabbit, be good. Come here quickly. Big sister has brought delicious food for you." The little white rabbit ran over and circled around her legs, cheering. Shiyan's face was full of smiles. She deeply loved this kind of peaceful life. However, when she saw the little white rabbit chewing on the weeds, her heart suddenly trembled violently as if she had lost something. A familiar aura was disappearing. "Ah." Shiyan stood up and looked in the direction of the celestial pole in the west. Her shoulders trembled and tears flowed out of her eyes. "Eva." Eva, without practically the slightest hesitation, her feet suddenly stomped on the ground, and her figure shot into the sky. In the blink of an eye, she'd vanished in the horizon while numerous golden talisman markings fluttered in the sky, and it was the sign of an expert at the god-rank realm ascension. 8 Desolate Realm. Auspicious clouds lingered in the sky and the land was green. 8 jagged stone pillars stood between the sky and the earth, supporting the balance of this world. The Bahuang pillar was built by goddess Nuwa in the past. It was a pillar that supported half of the world. There was a melodious tune between the pillars, and one could faintly hear singing. Although it was not very pleasant to the ears, it had a unique flavor. I'm in a good mood today. No wine, no good night. I know the universe and I'm carefree as well as Xiaoyao. Among the auspicious clouds, a person stepped on the clouds. It was the golden-armored 7 luminaries demon emperor. He would never break the monthly patrol of the 8 Desolate Realm. This was the responsibility of a supreme martial artist. At this time, Xiao should be in the 6 Harmony Realm, while Sun Feng should be in the Middle Palace Realm. They were both performing their respective duties. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Suddenly the sky and the earth trembled violently. Cracks appeared on the nearby Bahuang pillar. Huge pieces of colorful stones even fell down. It was a shocking scene. The 7 luminaries demon emperor hurriedly flew to the bottom of the Bahuang pillar. He opened his palm and a huge palm appeared to hold the pillar. He shouted, "Wait, baby, don't move around. I'll panic if you move." Under the protection of his godly power, the Bahuang pillar only trembled a little. Then it was safe. Clap, clap. The 7 luminaries demon emperor clapped his hands. Okay, done. Although he said that, he was already frowning. He mumbled, "What's going on? There seems to be some movement. Something must have happened in the southwest." Whoosh! A golden figure quickly appeared in front of him. It was Xiao. "Oh beautiful Xiao, tell me. What's the matter?" The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked at her frivolously. Xiao frowned. "Demon emperor, be serious. I've always been serious with you. I told you to be serious." Xiao's almond-shaped eyes widened. "Something has happened in the 6 Harmony world. I can sense a strong demonic aura emerging. At the same time, everything is withering. Spirited Mountain is slowly losing its vitality. I've observed the mortal world. It's the same situation as us. Whether it's spring or summer, it's already entering winter in advance. I know. The world is in chaos." The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked at her and said, "We are gods. We must maintain our sense of propriety. Go and tell Sun Feng to send 30,000 celestial soldiers into the mortal worlds of the major planes to pacify the people. No matter what happens, we must protect the people." "Yes." Xiao's face showed some admiration. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared. The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked at the white clouds in the sky. He sighed and said, "The celestial world is in chaos. Killing is rampant. Damned heavens. Finally, even an honest man like you can't stand it anymore? Fine, fine. Whatever will come will come." Chapter 11-12. Shanghai, 3rd of October. The weather had suddenly become abnormally cold, so much so that it was snowing heavily in the early morning. How strange. Lin Yin stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling window with a cup of hot tea in his hands, watching the snowflakes falling on the wooden planks of the balcony. He clicked his tongue and said, "It's snowing in October. The weather this year is really abnormal." Lin Muyu reclined on the sofa and moved the magazine away to glance outside the window. "It's not abnormal, it's inexplicable. The leaves had already turned yellow before it started snowing. According to previous years, the leaves wouldn't have turned yellow during this season." "Yeah." Lin Yin said, "Xiaoji, you're a god. You should know why this is happening, right?" "Actually, I don't know either. Who told you that a god is omnipotent and omniscient?" Lin Muyu flipped over and stood up. "But I do feel that the power of the Great Law is weakening." "Huh?" Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi looked up at the same time. Lin Yin was a little surprised. "The power of the Great Law is weakening. What does that mean?" "The power of a god comes from nature, from the laws and elements. Once the laws disappear, the power of a god will also disappear." Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. "I have a feeling that this matter isn't that simple. Maybe, my dad's wish can be fulfilled. I'll continue living on Earth as a mortal." Lin Yin curled his lips. "Are you going to the company today?" "No, I've arranged a mission with Li Xiaoyao today." "What mission?" "Arrest the boss of the One Heart Society, Luo Zhan." "No way. Why not? It should be in the papers tomorrow." After breakfast, Lin Muyu went directly to the secret base. When she arrived, Li Xiaoyao and the others were already ready. They were all dressed in special police uniforms. There were 7 cars with nearly 100 people. Such a big lineup? Lin Muyu was a little surprised. Li Xiaoyao smiled faintly and said, "The boss of the One Heart Society? Do you think it will be that easy to arrest him? Just wait, there might be an intense gunfight this morning. Damn, why is it snowing now? The weather this year is so strange." It seemed that Li Xiaoyao had yet to feel the weakening of his divine power. Or perhaps he had progressed too quickly and neglected this weakening. Lin Muyu and Li Xiaoyao were in the same car and Li Xiaoyao was driving. These cars were all military vehicles and they just passed by with great fanfare. It seemed that they didn't care if Luo Zhan would notice anything. The snow was getting heavier and heavier, as if it was hiding something for this battle. The wheels of the car in front left a trail in the snow as it drove towards the suburbs at a moderate speed. "Are you sure that Luo Zhan is in Shanghai?" Lin Muyu asked. "Very sure." Li Xiaoyao smiled confidently and said, "Last night Luo Zhan just flew back from Beijing to Shanghai, and he is staying in a private residence. Our intelligence system is very accurate, so don't worry." "That's good." Lin Muyu looked at the sky outside the window again. It was snowing heavily and this was not a good sign. "Linji, do you want a gun?" Xing Lai asked with a smile on his face from the back seat. "Oh, what do you have?" "Pick one yourself." Xing Lai opened a box and there were all kinds of guns in it, most of which were pistols. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be amused. Actually, her marksmanship was not bad. After all, she was a hedonistic son of a wealthy family. Back then she had practiced her marksmanship in the shooting range quite a bit. She raised her hand and took a gun from the box. Then she grabbed some bullets and stuffed them into her pocket. She said, "I'm not returning it, it's a memento." Xing Lai laughed and said, "As long as you're happy." More than an hour later, the car drove into a mountainous area. There were fewer and fewer residents in the distance. Obviously, such a secluded place was suitable for rich people to live in. Thus, luxurious villas began to appear in their field of vision. Whoosh! Suddenly, an awe-inspiring wave of air swept across the sky, and one could even see beams of golden ripples of light with the naked eye. "What's that?" Xing Lai and Fu Tu asked together in surprise. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. "Looks like it's not that simple this time." "It's him, he's finally here." "Who is it?" Li Xiaoyao asked. "Jin Zun, a god whose strength is not inferior to mine." "Will Jin Zun become our enemy?" "I don't know, should we continue with the mission?" "Proceed." 20 minutes later, the 7 cars slowly stopped at the end of the road that was about to disappear. Everyone got out of the cars and entered the mountainous area with guns in their hands. Quickly they surrounded a villa in the distance. All the snipers entered a favorable location for sniping, while Lin Muyu and Li Xiaoyao casually walked over on foot. At the entrance of the villa, 2 young men in black suits raised their arms. "Who are you?" "This is a private residence, no trespassing is allowed." Li Xiaoyao raised his hand and took out a document. He opened it and said, "I'm Li Xiaoyao, the Deputy Commander of the East China Regional Police Force. I suspect that Luo Zhan is involved in illegal activities. This is the arrest warrant. Let him in." "No, who knows if you're telling the truth." One of the bodyguards pressed the walkie-talkie lightly. Who would have thought that Lin Muyu would secretly exert her strength and activate her domain? Bang. The walkie-talkie's battery exploded and no information was sent back. "If you don't open the door, we can only do it ourselves." His palm slashed down like a knife, directly splitting the door open from the middle. Sparks flew everywhere. The 2 bodyguards were dumbfounded. They reached into their pockets and were about to take out their guns. Li Xiaoyao reacted quickly. His left fist swept across the face of one bodyguard, and his left leg swept out with great force, kicking the other in the head. His figure casually spun in the snow and landed on the ground. With 2 muffled thuds, he directly knocked down his opponent. "Good skills." Lin Muyu praised sincerely and said, "But we still seem to have been discovered. Should we go in?" "Go in. As the old saying goes, since we're already here, be careful, Jin Zun is also in the villa. Maybe he knows Luo Zhan." "Okay." The 2 of them walked through the snow into the villa. What greeted them were 7 or 8 bodyguards armed with submachine guns. Without saying a word, they opened fire and bullets flew towards them. Lin Muyu didn't say a word and continued to walk forward. However, the surroundings were already filled with his domain. The magnetic field became very chaotic and the bullets were all metal. In the chaotic magnetic field, they lost their original direction and randomly flew in all directions. Pi pi pa pa sounds were heard as they shot into the surrounding ponds and walls. Without waiting for Li Xiaoyao and Lin Muyu to make a move, bullets came from the surrounding mountains. Instantly, 7 or 8 bodyguards fell to the ground. Almost all of them were killed in one shot. The Guardian team's marksmanship was not fake. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. Xiaoyao, your marksmanship is above mine. Li Xiaoyao rubbed his nose. This is nothing. My marksmanship is the best in the entire police district. Your swordsmanship isn't bad either. No wonder Wan Er and Dong Cheng are so loyal to you. Aren't you the same? Are we going to continue to flatter each other, or are we going to capture Luo Zhan? Let's get down to business. Okay. Lin Muyu raised her head and looked at the villa in front of them. There are still a dozen bodyguards waiting for us at the door. On the 3rd floor there are 3 women in the left room. They should be Luo Zhan's women. On the right side there are 2 strong and weak breaths. The strong one is Jin Zun's and the weak one is Luo Zhan's. Let's just break the window and enter. Okay. Before she could finish her sentence, Lin Muyu had already turned into a ray of cold light and disappeared on the spot. The window in the distance shattered with a crash. Li Xiaoyao couldn't help but complain incessantly. In terms of speed he was still too inferior. In the room, a middle-aged man wearing a suit was sitting behind the desk. His expression was calm. In front of him was an old man wearing a white robe. It was Jin Zun. Lin Muyu landed on the ground and smiled. Looks like you already guessed that I would come. Jin Zun smiled. That's right. Lin Muyu, we still meet. It's just that I didn't think that you would be involved in this matter. This old man has just made a deal with this Mr. Luo Zhan. Puh. Another sound rang out. Li Xiaoyao rushed in with his stellar sword and asked, "What deal?" Jin Zun laughed. "Mr. Luo Zhan gave this treasure to me, and I will fulfill one of his wishes. That is, to kill you, Lin Muyu." Lin Muyu looked at the treasure in Jin Zun's palm. It was a simple and unadorned ring that emitted a righteous aura. A lifelike golden divine dragon appeared on the ring. Perhaps it was alive because Lin Muyu could feel strands of divine power. She smiled. What treasure is this that is worth Jin Zun working so hard? The Origin Dragon Ring. It was once worn by the heavenly Emperor Fuxi. It possesses an extremely powerful divine power. Is a divine artifact worth you becoming my enemy? Lin Muyu's eyes burned. So what? Jin Zun raised his eyebrows. I wanted to have a showdown with you in the first place. What's more, the divine power of the Origin Dragon Ring is extremely great. Our southern divine realm needs this treasure to help us guard our borders, which are gradually becoming chaotic. As he spoke, Jin Zun raised his arm. Immediately, rays of fiery red light burned fiercely, forming a divine artifact. It was the Zhu Rong sacred fire sword. Immediately, the surrounding temperature rose by a lot. Li Xiaoyao's eyes were cold. Are you going to fight here? Lin Muyu raised her thumb and pointed behind her. Jin Zun, let's fight on the mountain over there. Don't involve the innocent. That's exactly what I was thinking. Xiaoyao, you stay here and arrest Luo Zhan. Wait. Luo Zhan abruptly stood up. Jin Zun, you promised me that you won't let Li Xiaoyao arrest me. Jin Zun sneered. I only promised to kill Li Xiaoyao, I never promised to be your dog. Luo Zhan's face was ashen. Swoosh swoosh. 2 figures flew out of the window and headed straight for the mountain range to the east of the villa complex. This mountain was not very tall and it was already covered in snow. There was no one on the mountain, so it was the perfect place for a fight. Chapter 11:13. At the peak of the snowy mountain, the wind was biting cold. Autumn in Shanghai had never been so cold before. Jin Zun held the Zhu Rong sacred fire sword tightly in his right hand, and the Origin Dragon Ring on his left hand glowed with a majestic light. There was a faint energy protecting Jin Zun's body. It was not without reason that he wanted to get this ring. The cold wind blew at Jin Zun's white beard. He looked at Lin Muyu with a gentle gaze and said, although that despicable human just asked me to kill you, this battle is only about victory and defeat, not life and death. After all, the Southern Divine Realm and the East Heaven are not mortal enemies. What do you think, Lin General? Okay. Lin Muyu nodded and said, but if you lose, you must leave the Zhu Rong sacred fire sword in your hand. That is a treasure left behind by the ancestors of the desolate era. It should be left in the East and not taken to the Southern Divine Realm. No problem. Jin Zun narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, but if I win, I want the Shenyuan sword in your hand. What do you think of this deal? Yes, it's a deal. Then, let's prepare for battle. Jin Zun took a deep breath. Suddenly, black flames danced around his body. That was the power of the law of chaos. The Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword spewed out flames that soared to the sky. In a short moment, his aura had already risen to the realm of the 99th heaven realm. Lin Muyu felt a slight chill in her heart. Jin Zun's domain actually made her feel a strong sense of oppression. Obviously, in terms of strength, Jin Zun was still above her. The cultivation of the 95th heaven realm could not be compared to the cultivation of the 99th heaven realm. However, this was only in terms of pure strength. If the invisible elephant art and immortal golden body were added, it would be hard to say. Clang. The Xianyuan sword was unsheathed, and the golden light was vast and mighty, reflecting the whole land like a golden mirror. After returning to Earth, Lin Muyu rarely encountered someone who could force her to use the Xianyuan sword. She actually felt a faint excitement in her heart. Rays of blood-red light slowly condensed into the Chiyu armor around her body. With a shout, the power of the invisible elephant formula was concentrated in her body. In just a moment, her momentum was no less than that of Jin Zun. Oh! Jin Zun was slightly stunned. He had not expected Lin Muyu's strength to be strong to such an extent. Take this. Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword slashed down like lightning, so fast that no one could react. Lin Muyu responded calmly. She raised the Xianyuan sword in front of her, and the two divine weapons collided violently. Suddenly, the sound of mountains and seas surged, and a strong storm blew on the top of the mountain, blowing away a large amount of snow. This attack was considered a tie. Lin Muyu's arm was slightly numb. She hurriedly diverted the force and spun her blade. With a dang sound, she blocked Jin Zun's fierce slash for the second time. The all-pervasive power of the chaotic rule rushed towards her face, but it was forcibly rebounded by the immortal golden body on the surface of Lin Muyu's body. This made Jin Zun extremely shocked. Without saying much, after making 3 swift slashes, Jin Zun calmly lifted his leg and gave a fierce kick. The chaotic air currents swirled violently on the tip of his foot. If this kick landed, it would not be a joke. Lin Muyu's movements were not inferior to Jin Zun's. At the moment when Jin Zun kicked, she also kicked. With a peng sound, the sky was filled with golden light. The air currents rushed in all directions. The piercingly cold auras kept colliding. In the snowy sky, it actually formed a scene of brilliant light. Streams of air currents rolled the flying snow down the mountain. Even Xing Lai, Fu Tu and the other members of the Guardian team were slightly affected. They all cried out in pain and hid their heads under the rocks to avoid the air currents. Xing Lai could not open his eyes at all. He could not help but shout, "Is this still a human? This is too strong, isn't it?" Fu Tu said in a low voice, "Everyone be careful. Don't be affected by their battle." Li Xiaoyao had already brought Luo Zhan out of the villa and escorted him to the car. He looked at the battle on the snowy mountain coldly and said, "We won't be of much help here. Everyone retreat 5 miles and wait for Lin Ji to finish." Yes. Swoosh swoosh swoosh, streams of black energy swirled around Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword. Jin Zun's old face was filled with the desire to fight. He seemed to be very happy as he laughed loudly and said, "Come, let's see how you are going to take this old man's ultimate move." Lin Muyu felt a chill in her heart. Judging from the energy on Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword, she knew that this attack was not simple. The chaotic rule energy that was swirling at high speed was enough to tear the sky and the earth apart. Moreover, Jin Zun seemed to be immersed in the battle. He had to use his full strength in this attack. If it hit the earth, the impact would be no small matter. Thinking of this, he stepped into the void and leaped 100 meters. His body was in the air and he held the sword with both hands. With a low shout, the golden wall of the 7 luminaries' holy gourd appeared in the air. He smiled faintly and said, "Jin Zun, come." "Ha!" Jin Zun let out a low roar and pointed his sword to the sky. Suddenly the sky and earth began to spin. Attracted by the power, the snow and rocks on the snow mountain all flew up. There was a sense of chaos and doomsday. Under the cover of the rocks and snow was the light of Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword, which was 100 meters long. It looked like a giant shaking the sky. Lin Muyu quickly concentrated his strength. He knew that this layer of the gourd wall could not stop Jin Zun's attack. So he opened his left hand and controlled the wall of the gourd. His right hand was enshrouded in flames. With a shout, he activated the divine power of fire. Under the mysterious power, the Xianyuan sword spun rapidly and became huge in the blink of an eye, almost as big as Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword. Between heaven and earth, the two powerful forces collided with each other. Boom, boom, boom. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Layers of golden shock waves swept across the sky. In the distance, Xing Lai, who was driving, saw this scene from the rearview mirror. He couldn't help but feel a chill in his heart, but he was also very excited. He murmured, "Is this a battle between gods? It's so awesome." Li Xiaoyao also looked at the battle behind him and took a deep breath. They are both people who can turn the tide of the battle. Fortunately, Lin Ji is our friend. It's a blessing for the world, a blessing for our country. Fu Tu said, "Boss, can Lin Ji defeat that white-bearded old man? It looks like that white-bearded old man is very powerful." "I don't know either." Li Xiaoyao fell into deep thought. Bang! In the sky, the two artifacts collided again. The biting cold energy storm made Lin Muyu and Jin Zun feel extremely uncomfortable. The area within 5 meters of the two had been turned into a purgatory. Ordinary people couldn't survive for even a second, but these two were the initiators of this purgatory. The winner had to be decided because this concerned the ownership of the two artifacts. Wong. Jin Zun raised his fist and smashed it on Lin Muyu's chest armor. Instantly, a pang sound was heard. The immortal golden body glowed brightly, and the Chiyu armor was also buzzing. While Lin Muyu felt the pain, she swept her leg and kicked Jin Zun's waist. Bang! Lin Muyu's full-force kick was so powerful that Jin Zun grunted. His body moved for nearly 100 meters, but he disappeared in an instant. A chilling aura appeared behind Lin Muyu. Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword cut through the air with a murderous intent. Jin Zun used all his strength every time he attacked. He knew that this couldn't kill Lin Muyu. Just as Jin Zun expected, Lin Muyu rushed forward without looking back. Her speed was shocking. She used the falling star step to avoid Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword, and at the same time, she swept out the Xinyuan sword with the power of 5 elements, 8 wastelands destruction. Ha! Jin Zun was slightly stunned. He immediately put the sword in front of his chest and shouted, "Black Flame Chaos." A black energy shield quickly wrapped Jin Zun's body. This was a pure energy shield, and it was condensed by the chaotic and violent power of the law of chaos. When Lin Muyu's sword fell, there was a ping sound as if she had cut on steel. Not only did her arm feel numb, but she could also feel the violent and chaotic aura coming from the Xinyuan sword. However, Lin Muyu didn't flinch at all. She waved her sword and continued to slash. In the air, hundreds of meters long golden sword chi flew around. Ping ping ping, it was a spectacular sight. Lin Muyu attacked almost crazily. In just 10 seconds she slashed at least 100 times, which consumed a lot of her divine power. However, Jin Zun wasn't much better. He had cultivated the Black Flame Chaos for many years, and no one dared to continue attacking after he used it. The energy of the Black Flame Chaos was too violent. If the attacker used 100% of his power, he would suffer 80% of the backlash, which was equivalent to attacking himself. However, Lin Muyu seemed to be attacking crazily, which made Jin Zun feel very uncomfortable. The blood in his body was surging and he felt like he couldn't support it. Originally, he thought that Lin Muyu would stop after about 200 strikes, but Jin Zun didn't expect Lin Muyu to be so fierce and violent. She attacked almost 1,000 times in 2 minutes, and her power didn't weaken at all. Instead, the Black Flame Chaos was starting to become chaotic. Finally, Jin Zun let out a furious roar. Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword turned from defense to offense, and it turned into a blazing flame that rushed forward. Lin Muyu, who was attacking crazily, couldn't defend in time. With a whoosh, she was swept by the flames. Her skin was burning, and she felt a terrible sense of weakness in her arms. Even her sovereign personality couldn't bear such a huge consumption. "Lose for me," Jin Zun shouted. Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword was infused with 100% of his divine power. Lin Muyu didn't have time to dodge, so she raised her sword horizontally to block. With a clang, the Xinyuan sword was pushed back and rested on her shoulder. Seeing this, Jin Zun's heart lit up. The second wave of power quickly crushed down. Zhu Rong's sacred fire sword slashed down on Qiyu's armor with a majestic power. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The divine power penetrated the armor and attacked Lin Muyu's immortal golden body. For a moment, the chaotic laws turned into raging flames that burned her body. The pain was unbearable. Lin Muyu gritted her teeth. In order to defeat such a powerful opponent, she had to take an unconventional approach. Using her body as bait was the best choice. Just when Jin Zun thought he was going to win, Lin Muyu's left hand freed up. She grabbed a small demonic sonorous blade from her waist and slashed at Jin Zun's face. Bang! Finally, Jin Zun's divine wall dissipated. This was a great opportunity for Lin Muyu. A powerful wave of divine power rippled out from the Xinyuan sword and shook off Jin Zun's Yurong's sacred fire sword. Oh no! Jin Zun hurriedly retreated. The moment the divine wall broke, if he was attacked by Lin Muyu with all her strength, he might lose his life. Therefore Jin Zun instantly withdrew his body. His body dissipated and condensed again. He was already 10 meters away. However, what Jin Zun didn't expect was that Lin Muyu didn't attack with the Xinyuan sword. Instead, she raised her left hand and took out a pistol. The black muzzle pointed straight at Jin Zun's face. Bang! Chapter 11:14. One of his front teeth flew into the sky, with a faint trace of golden blood on it. Jin Zun howled in pain and raised his head to look at his front teeth in the air. All sorts of feelings welled up in his heart. He had never expected that Lin Muyu would use a weapon from Earth. That disdainful weapon had actually knocked out the front teeth that he was so proud of. Whoosh! A wisp of coldness pressed against Jin Zun's neck. It was the Xinyuan sword. Lin Muyu gripped the hilt of the sword with steady strength. She smiled and said, "Senior, you've lost." Jin Zun continued to raise his head because he knew how sharp the Xinyuan sword was. As long as Lin Muyu pushed the blade forward slightly, his 10,000 years of cultivation would probably be destroyed. Nodding lightly, Jin Zun said, "The new generation excels the old. This old man is convinced." Lin Muyu flipped her wrist and sheathed the Xinyuan sword. She stretched out her hand and said like a child asking for candy, "Senior, you have to keep your word. Give me the Zhurong sacred fire sword. Anyway, your main purpose here is the Origin Dragon Ring. Now that the ring is yours, no one will fight you for that divine artifact ring." Jin Zun was a bit disappointed. He looked at the Zhurong sacred fire sword with reluctance in his eyes and said, "Lin General, do you really want it?" "Yes, I must." "All right." Jin Zun raised his hand and the Zhurong sacred fire sword landed in Lin Muyu's hand in the next moment. Lin Muyu had a supreme disposition and was proficient in the 12 laws. Her power of fire was only inferior to Tang Xiaoxi's. Naturally, she was able to recognize the Zhurong sacred fire sword as its master very quickly. When the sword was no longer violent, she threw it into her cosmos sack. It would not be of use for a while. "Lin General?" Standing in the wind and snow, Jin Zun suddenly called out in disappointment. Lin Muyu said, "Senior, I understand. We will release Tong Mingqiao after we return. As long as the Southern God Realm does not become our enemy, we will not make things difficult for you." "Thank you." Jin Zun cupped his fists in salute and said, "Lin General, you must have also sensed that something ominous is about to happen, right?" The tacit understanding between top experts was indeed different. Lin Muyu nodded and muttered, "Yes, I can sense it, but I can't do anything about it. This isn't a change that you and I can control. The power of the laws is disappearing, and I can sense that the faith of the gods is also collapsing." "That's right." Jin Zun's eyes glowed brightly as he said, "The gods have been addicted to killing and conquering for far too long. They have long forgotten their own mission. The gradual weakening of the rules and faith means that some kind of power in the sky has run out of patience and is about to reshuffle." "Reshuffle?" Lin Muyu was slightly surprised. He knew that Jin Zun was experienced and knowledgeable, so he said, "Senior, please explain, what do you mean by reshuffling?" But Jin Zun shook his head. "This matter? I do not know the details, but the sudden change means that something big is about to happen. I have already received the Lord Realm King's divine decree that something big is probably going to happen in the God Realm. The seal of the 6 realms is currently under attack, and the person in charge of guarding the seal is the blazing angel Eva. I can only hope that Eva can hold the seal. If that is the case, then the people will be able to escape this calamity." "What will happen if the seal of the 6 realms is broken?" "Probably a reshuffle. The power of the laws and faith will completely disappear, and heavenly punishment will descend. The gods will also fall, lose their divine power and become mortals again." Jin Zun looked at Lin Muyu and said, "Our power will also disappear." Lin Muyu took a deep breath. He knew that Jin Zun was not exaggerating because he had the same premonition. He cupped his fists and said respectfully, "Senior, then I will be returning." Jin Zun nodded. "I will also be returning to the Southern God Realms soon. Lin General, take care of yourself. I hope we will have a chance to meet again in the future." Jin Zun looked up at the sky and suddenly soared into the sky. Rays of light quickly engulfed his figure. He had already ascended to the divine realm. Lin Muyu's heart was filled with anxiety. What should she do? Amidst the wind and snow, Lin Muyu slowly descended from the sky and landed next to the caravan. Linji, did you win? Li Xiaoyao asked. Men, we won. Lin Muyu's expression was solemn as she said, Xiaoyao, take him back with you. I'm going home first, so I won't be accompanying you. The crisis in the Southern God Realm has been resolved, so you should release Tong Mingqiao after you return. Lin Muyu flew into the air and slowly retreated, disappearing into the spatial crack behind her. Xinglai acts. Let's go. Li Xiaoyao brushed the snow off his shoulders. Go back early. The other team should have already finished their work. From today onwards, there will be no more One Heart Society. Yes, boss. In the Eight Wastelands realm, a ray of light gathered to form the image of Lin Muyu, appearing in front of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor was currently holding a peach, considering whether to wash it before eating. Yo-yo? Big brother, did something happen in the God realm? Lin Muyu asked. You felt it too? The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor said casually as if nothing had happened. Something big did happen. If my guess is correct, the blazing angel Eva of the Western Divine Realm is dead. What, Eva is dead? Lin Muyu was shocked. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor nodded. Eva's divine power has disappeared. It should have been devoured by the power of the Devil Realm and the Seal of the Six Realms. Sigh. Poor Eva, a blazing angel died in such a worthless way. Since the Seal of the Six Realms is about to be destroyed, why don't we lend a hand? Lend a hand? The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor couldn't help but laugh. Silly boy, Claude's 50,000 angel army is between us and the Chaos Realm. Before we get there, the angel army will probably beat us up first. Now, no one can stop the world from collapsing. The Seal of the Six Realms must be destroyed. Even if we gather all the power of the four divine realms, we won't be able to protect the Seal. Just the invasion of the Devil Realm isn't enough to destroy the Seal. Most importantly, this is the will of the heavens. The heavenly Tao is already dissatisfied with the violence and disputes of the gods. It will punish the actions of the gods. You must be mentally prepared. Soon we will all lose our divine power and become mortals. Then, how long? How much time do I have left? More than 10 days within a month. Hurry up and settle your family matters, then return to the Shattered Cauldron Realm. They need you more there. Lin Muyu nodded. Before withdrawing her divine power, she said, Big brother, you and big sister Xiao have to be careful. The Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor couldn't help but feel warmth in his heart. Amen, we will. You have to take care too. For a long time, I might not be able to help you at all. Amen. The Chaos Realm was no longer dark. The flames of the Devil Realm illuminated the entire space. The roars of the dark divine beast servant became increasingly sorrowful. One could even call it a wail. Its mouth was wide open, and strands of blue demonic aura flowed into the divine realm. The seal of the six realms that was originally sealing the dark divine beast servant was now only a small piece of it. The golden runes were slowly disappearing. Be careful of your defenses. In the sky, rows of angel armies were already ready. Under the command of a radiant angel, they drew their swords and gathered their light divine power to attack the leaking demonic aura. Boom! The demonic aura was biting cold. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 angels died in battle, turning into a stream of light in the universe. My lord, we can't hold them off anymore. The group of angels revealed looks of fear. What do we do? Is the Lord Juggernaut still not coming? The radiant angel's face was filled with despair. The Lord Juggernaut won't come. Prepare to retreat. Be careful, the demonic aura is coming again. This time, an even stronger wave of blue demonic aura shot out like a sharp arrow, blasting straight at the place where the angels were the most concentrated. The group of angels' faces were filled with horror. They couldn't hold on any longer. At this moment, a blazing light suddenly exploded in the sky. 6 beautiful wings spread open in the sky, and a familiar and beautiful figure descended from the sky. The blazing moon sword swept across. Bang! The entire area of demonic aura was instantly swept away. Her back was facing everyone, and a pair of beautiful eyes looked in the direction of the dark divine beast servant. She murmured, Eva? My Eva, where are you, Lady Xiyan? The group of angels recognized her and they all knelt down. Greetings, Lady Blazing Angel Xiyan. Hurry up and leave. Xiyan turned to look at everyone, an indescribable sorrow in her eyes. It's not easy to cultivate in this lifetime. Don't die here in vain. Hurry up and leave. Yes. The group of angels left one after another. Shi Yan carried the blazing moon sword and walked step by step toward the seal of the 6 realms. This had already become the most dangerous place in the world, and the last wisp of Eva's aura had also disappeared here. Eva? The closer Shi Yan got, the denser the demonic aura coming from the seal of the 6 realms became. In the blink of an eye, giant arms spread out and attacked. Shi Yan raised her head, her eyes filled with anger. The 6 wings behind her spread out violently, and the blazing moon sword erupted with a dazzling light. She shouted, "Are you going to be destroyed? Then come, destroy everything. Let me see what you want." Sword Chi soared through the air, shattering all the giant arms made of demonic aura. At the same time, a broken sword with a faint luster was revealed between the teeth of the dark divine beast servant. The Mary Spirit Sword, Eva's sword. Just like the name of the sword, although Eva had great power, she had never killed any innocent mortals. She was kind and upright, but now she had been reduced to ashes. Shi Yan floated down and knelt beside the broken Mary Spirit Sword. Her shoulders trembled slightly and she couldn't help but burst into tears. Roar, roar, roar. Under the seal of the 6 realms, the demonic aura became denser and denser. Strands of demonic aura began to overflow, lingering around Shi Yan like ghosts, eroding the former number 1 blazing angel. Shi Yan's tears flowed, and the blazing moon sword shone brightly, as if it wanted to protect its master. However, Shi Yan didn't move. She gently held the Mary Spirit Sword and looked at the demon realm under the seal of the 6 realms. Her eyes were filled with sorrow and despair, and she murmured, "What do you want? Do you want to devour everything? That's good, that's good. Then let me see how ugly your faces are." The light of the blazing moon sword suddenly increased, and Shi Yan's beautiful figure passed through the seal of the 6 realms like a firefly, entering the dark and dusky shore. Chapter 11:15. October 5th. It had been snowing for 3 days and 3 nights, and it showed no signs of stopping. This was a global snowfall, and almost all the country's meteorological departments could do nothing about it. No one knew what was happening, and no one could use scientific theories to analyze the cause of this snowfall. The temperature had reached -15 degrees Celsius, which was a record-breaking low in Shanghai. It was still warm inside the Lin family's villa. The air conditioner was blowing hot air so that the people in the room would not be too cold. The curtains facing the road were open, and they could see the harsh weather outside. There were very few cars on the road, but there were many cleaners cleaning up the snow. Otherwise, the road would be impossible to walk on at all. In a few more days, the snow will be half a person's height. Lin Yan looked outside worriedly and suddenly asked, "Xiaozhi, you're a god. Can't you explain the strange weather?" "Maybe." Lin Muyu held a hot cup of coffee in her hand, and looked at the falling snow outside the window with a solemn gaze. "Tell me why." It was Lin Shun who spoke, and he had already put down the newspaper in his hand. Lin Muyu said softly, "Dad, brother, this isn't just happening on Earth. It's happening on millions of planets with life that you can't see. The temperature of the entire universe has dropped. In the God realm, the gods call this divine punishment. If you must understand it, you can understand it as heaven's wrath. The heavens are dissatisfied with the gods' behavior, and have begun to deprive them of their power." Lin Shun was slightly shocked. "Xiaozhi, you're a god too. Will this affect you?" "Yes, I'll lose most of my power." Lin Muyu nodded. At the side, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi looked at the window and silently agreed with Lin Muyu's words. Both of them had overgod personalities, so they could naturally feel the weakening and loss of divine power, and the speed was getting faster and faster. If this continued, they would soon lose all their divine power, and their power would fall back to the holy heaven state or even lower. Lin Shun was silent for a few seconds and then said softly, "Xiaozhi, if there's really any danger, why don't you Xiaoyin and Xiaoxi stay here? Even if you lose your power, you can live well here. Isn't it good for our family to stay together like this?" Lin Muyu was slightly moved. "Dad, I know I should stay, but that's my responsibility. I can't keep running away. My friends are still waiting for me to help and save them in the other world. If I hide here, I'm afraid even I will look down on myself." Lin Muyu's heart was slightly moved. "Forget it. You decide your own matters. I won't interfere." Lin Shun felt even more desolate as he said this. "Dad, I'll come back." Lin Muyu stood up, pulled the curtains and looked at the falling snow outside. She said, "Even if it's heavenly punishment, there will be a day when we get through it. There will definitely be a way to solve all difficulties. I'll come back and our family will live together. Don't worry, this is my promise. I once swore that I would not betray the world and I will not betray this family. Lin Shun nodded, picked up the newspaper again and said, I'm going to the tea room to make some tea. Do you want to come with me? Qinin couldn't help but smile. Uncle, we can just drink coffee here. You don't know, in the Shattered Cauldron realm, we drink tea almost every day but we don't know the taste of coffee. Who knows how long it will be before we can drink coffee again after we go back. Lin Shun also smiled. Alright Lin Yin, come with me to make tea. You should also learn the way of tea. Otherwise, it won't be good if you're confused when discussing business and the way of tea in the future. Lin Yin complained incessantly. Alright Dad. The two of them went to the tea room next to the study. Not long after, the sound of boiling water could be heard. Mu, are you alright? Tang Xiaoxi stood up and came to Lin Muyu's side. She pulled on his hand and said, Don't worry too much. There will always be a solution to the situation. Besides, there are so many experts in the God realm. Will they really let the heavens take away the status of the gods? Lin Muyu turned around and naturally hugged her slender waist. He said softly, Even the demon emperor is helpless. What can the other gods do? Oh. At this moment, Qinin, who was holding a cup of coffee on the sofa, suddenly cried out. The coffee cup in her hand fell to the ground and rolled far away on the carpet. Qinin's eyes were wide open, and her whole body was trembling. Her godly power was flowing chaotically. Tears swirled in her eyes and she suddenly cried out in pain. What's wrong, Xiaoyin? Lin Muyu hurriedly rushed to her side and supported her. Qinin sobbed bitterly. She gritted her teeth and tears flowed out of her eyes. Sister Xian? Sister Xian. Something happened to her. There was some kind of connection between god emperors who were deeply in love. If something happened to one of them, the other would definitely sense it. Qinin sensed that Xian was in danger, so it couldn't be wrong. Xiaoyin. Lin Muyu caressed her back and said, Don't cry, don't cry. What did you see? I saw. Qinin raised her head and looked at him. Her long eyelashes were stained with tiny drops of tears. She said with a sobbing tone, I saw Sister Haiyan plunged into darkness and was devoured by countless ferocious devil auras. I saw. The Jiue sword lost its radiance. Sister Haiyan's aura disappeared. Her aura disappeared. As she spoke, Qinin suddenly broke free from Lin Muyu's embrace. Light burst out from her body, and a beam of light broke through the blue dome of heaven. She was about to ascend. Xiaoyin, stop. Lin Muyu shouted loudly. Even Xian couldn't fight against a strong enemy. Can you fight against it? Are you going to leave us behind and die by yourself? What do you want us to do? But I... Golden runes revolved around Qin Yin's body. She cried like a pear blossom in the rain. I can't sit and do nothing. Sister Haiyan needs me, don't worry. Lin Muyu walked forward and held her little hand. Dispelling the cyclone of ascension, she said, Don't you know Sister Haiyan's personality? She stands aloof from worldly affairs. She is calm and composed. She will never do anything impulsive. What you sensed is just the tip of the iceberg. You can't be sure that Sister Xian's life is in danger. The reason why we can't sense her aura is probably because Xian has gone to another big space. She is so far away that even you and I can't sense her aura. Standing aside, Tang Xiaoxi slightly nodded and said, Xiaoyin Mu is right. We are all worried about Sister Haiyan, but we can't be irrational and impulsive. Otherwise, things will only get harder to handle. Qin Yin's emotions were still unstable. Only she and Xian could understand each other's feelings for each other. Back then, Qinin had no one to rely on in the 6 paths of reincarnation. Xian had been protecting and helping her all the time. Therefore, in Qin Yin's heart, Xian was probably one of her family members since long ago. Xiaoyin, said Lin Muyu with a soft and gentle voice, I promise you I will find Gong Gong's navy right away. Once I find them, I will take them and fly up to the heaven realm with you. I will try my best to find Sister Xian. Just wait for a while, okay? Qinin cried so hard that she buried her face in Tang Xiaoxi's arms. Tang Xiaoxi pouted at Lin Muyu and said, Although I like the life here, the situation doesn't allow us to enjoy it here anymore. Mu, go find Gong Gong's navy right now. We should return to the divine realm as soon as possible. Lin Muyu gently stomped on the ground. A layer of golden ripples spread out as she said in a low voice, Gomang, come here. Leader, I'm here. Behind her, Gomang's silhouette slowly condensed. Lin Muyu said, Let's go now to the South Sea to find Gong Gong's navy. Yes. The moment they flew out of the villa area, Lin Muyu saw that Shanghai had fallen into a world of ice and snow. There were traffic jams everywhere and the traffic was completely paralyzed. Moreover, all flights around the world had been cancelled and the global traffic was paralyzed. The negative impact this snow had on the whole world was really too great. At this time, people all over the world were in a state of panic. No one knew what was going on. Religions all over the world also issued statements like heaven's wrath, saying that God was punishing the world and that it was time to repent. As for the end of the world, there were countless people who believed that it was the end of the world. Everyone felt insecure and could not work. This change would definitely cause an economic setback. Flying in the wind and snow, Lin Muyu looked at the vast land. Looking at this land that belonged to her, she couldn't help but feel a lump in her throat. She was a god, but she couldn't do anything. Leader? Gomang seemed to have seen through Lin Muyu's thoughts and said, "This is a great disaster. Neither humans nor gods can change anything. We'd better deal with the aftermath as soon as possible." I know. Go to the South Sea as soon as possible. Yes. 2 streams of air exploded in the air. The 2 had already appeared 100 miles away through the Chisel Plain. They continued to fly in the direction of the South Sea at full speed. Even Lin Muyu didn't have time to say hello to Li Xiaoyao. Because things happened too quickly, even a top expert like Shi Yan had met with an accident. The whole divine realm must be in chaos. In less than an hour, the 2 who were shuttling through the wind and snow went straight to the predetermined coordinates like a meteor. In the distance, they could already see the vast South Sea through the curtain of snow. Moreover, Lin Muyu used her divine power and could actually see huge objects appearing on the surface of the sea. Those were the naval exercises in the South Sea. They were actually still on the sea and hadn't returned to the port. In the curtain of snow, a complete aircraft carrier battle group appeared in her field of vision. With Lin Muyu's ability, she could even see the people on the deck of the aircraft carrier who were commanding the reinforced fighter jets, and she could even hear their shouts and orders in the wind. Humans? Gomang snorted coldly in disdain. Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She just narrowed her eyes and confirmed again. Yes, this aircraft carrier was the George Washington. As for the large ship further away, it was the flagship, the Blue Ridge. The other enormous objects were guided missile cruisers and destroyers. What a powerful naval force. No wonder they could run amok in the South Sea. "Leader, do we need to end them?" asked Gomang. "No need." Lin Muyu shook her head. "Find the Gong Gong Navy first. Gomang, can you sense the location of the Gong Gong Navy?" "Right below this human navy." "Damn," Lin Muyu secretly complained. It seemed that she had to do something even if she didn't want to. Chapter 11:16. Buzz buzz. At this moment, a sharp whistling sound came from the snow curtain behind them. A black shadow rushed over and at the same time, there was the sound of a machine gun firing. It was a small drone. "We've been discovered." Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice. Gomang put on the mask. "Don't let them recognize us." "Yes." Meanwhile, Lin Muyu also reached out and pulled the black silk scarf that she had prepared around her neck, covering most of her face. The cloak behind her suddenly flew up, and she entered the state of God transformation. She turned around and slashed at the drone. Suddenly, under the raging sword energy, the drone was split into 2 and fell with an explosion. The reaction speed of the M's army was too fast. As soon as the drone was attacked, the ships on the sea immediately rushed over. The DDG model destroyer closest to them was the fastest. Before it even got close, it had already launched a machine gun fire. Dense flames intertwined in the air, and Lin Muyu was in the center of the intertwining. She used the falling star steps and jumped twice in a row, easily avoiding the machine gun's lock-on. Lin Muyu raised her long sword and slashed at the destroyer with great force. Boom. This sword was extremely powerful, and it instantly hit the middle of the destroyer, splitting a long hole in it. Seawater poured in crazily. In fact, with Lin Muyu's strength, it was not difficult to split the destroyer in 2, but he did not want to kill, so he gave the soldiers on the ship time to board the lifeboats to escape. However, the other party did not seem to buy it. The sinking warship suddenly shot out a red light, heading straight for Lin Muyu from hundreds of meters away. It was a lock-on attack, a tomahawk missile. Lin Muyu opened her palm fearlessly. With a buzz, the wall of the gourd condensed in front of her and suddenly exploded with a bang. Flames rose into the sky. This tomahawk missile could not do anything to Lin Muyu at all. It did not even consume much energy. Gomang, go into the water. It's more important to find the Gong Gong Navy. Yes, leader. Gomang dived into the sea. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and looked at the destroyers, attack ships, and the USS Washington in the distance. Without saying a word, she slowly descended, condensed a shield around her, and sank into the sea. The sea should have been very cold, but the existence of the shield separated the water. Even Lin Muyu's clothes did not get wet. Up above, the auras were chaotic. The aircraft carrier battle group was in an uproar as they searched for Lin Muyu's whereabouts. After all, Lin Muyu had sunk one of their destroyers with a single strike of her sword. This was an unprecedented humiliation for the M nation in recent years. In the deep sea, Gomang raised the Gomang saber and continued to sink, while Lin Muyu followed closely behind. At the same time, auras began to approach. It was the M nation's nuclear submarine. Lin Muyu frowned. These people were really persistent. No matter what, this was China's territorial waters, right? However, she could not sink the submarine. After all, once the submarine sank, the people inside would definitely die. The soldiers were innocent and Lin Muyu did not want to kill people at all. Therefore, her gaze turned cold and a beam of domain power shuttled through the sea. Immediately, the submarine's lights could no longer be lit. It had fallen into a temporary state of magnetic field disorder and circuit cut. It could not pose a threat to Lin Muyu for a while, and its own life would not be in danger. Not long after, the two arrived at the bottom of the sea. Standing in the soft depths of the sea, Lin Muyu looked around and said, "What's going on? I can't see any trace of them." Of course they won't sleep at the bottom of the sea so openly. Otherwise the sharks will eat them. Gomang smiled faintly. These warriors are still deeper. Oh. Lin Muyu was slightly surprised. Gomang raised his arm and shouted. Under the surge of his divine power, the soil at the bottom of the sea flew up inch by inch. When he lifted up nearly 10 meters of soil, he suddenly found some signs of civilization below. There were some carved stones, and he could faintly see a totem in the shape of a cow's head. He found it was the totem of the Juli tribe. After Gomang forcibly moved away a building that looked like a door, there were cellar-like existences below. Gomang smiled faintly. The sands of time did not wash away your sharpness, did they? Warriors of my tribe, wake up. Quickly come and meet your new master, your new leader. Stimulated by Gomang's power, the seawater surged and washed away the soil in the cellar. 3-meter-tall giants stood in the cellar one after another, motionless like terracotta warriors. Organs that looked like fish scales and fins could even be seen on their bodies. As for the hands of these giants, most of them were holding long spears. After tens of thousands of years, these spears still glowed with a terrifying luster. Gong Gong's navy was similar to the spirit creature mermaids and mermaids. Buzz buzz buzz, the giants opened their eyes one after another. Their pupils were faintly blue, looking at Gomang with respect. They knew Gomang because he used to be in the same generation as their leader. Lin Muyu quickly took out the star stone, raised it high and growled in a deep voice, "From now on, you are my army and you will follow my orders. Do you understand?" The giants hesitated for 2 to 3 seconds, then kneeled down together and responded, "Greetings, Lord Leader." "Good, wake up your people and follow me." "Yes, Leader." The bottom of the sea turned chaotic. Numerous water-kind creatures swam over with shining long spears in their hands. Many of them even had fish whiskers looking quite funny. However, they all looked serious, which made it hard for Jianghu to laugh. Soon, a large group of divine-level warriors stood on the bottom of the sea. "Do we need to count the number?" asked Lin Muyu. Gomang smiled and responded, "No need, they're all here. Over 30,500 people, what should we do next?" Lin Muyu raised her head, looked at the sky and said, "It's time to let these brave warriors see the light of day again." "Yes, Lord Leader." On the surface of the sea, armed helicopters hovered in the wind and snow, while tens of warships were sailing around the enormous swirl in the middle. People all knew that something big must have happened at the bottom of the sea, but they didn't know what it was. Snipers were stationed on the edges of the decks of those warships, nervously aiming at the center. Swoosh, a ripple rose and right after that Lin Muyu showed up. In the sky, the lights of the helicopters gathered on Lin Muyu, illuminating the darkness of the evening as if it were daytime. "Shoot him." Someone shouted and gunshots were heard from all directions. Many bullets were spitting out and they went straight for Lin Muyu. The soldiers of the Navy panicked, and the person in front of them seemed to be a visitor from outer space. The flight of bullets was supposed to be a matter of an instant, but with Lin Muyu's cultivation he could clearly see the flight path of each bullet. He couldn't help but laugh and with a buzz an invisible field opened up around him. Suddenly all the bullets bounced off and none of them could cause any harm to Lin Muyu. Slowly raising his left fist, rays of golden light shot up into the sky. Lin Muyu had already raised the power of the invisible elephant formula to the extreme, and even light blue lightning appeared around his fist, and a strong magnetic force was about to be released. The commanders on the warships were all stunned. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Muyu suddenly dived down and punched the surface of the sea. The entire surface of the sea trembled violently. The domain impact generated by this punch swept over with a loud bang, turning into a golden airflow that spread wildly. All the battleships and their engines that encountered this impact stopped operating. Of course, except for the nuclear-powered USS Washington, the rest of the battleships almost instantly stopped operating and just stayed on the surface of the sea. The fighter jets that were receiving orders to take off also stopped moving. Country M's Aerospace Command Center. The big screen suddenly trembled violently, and the satellite images on the screen were also chaotic. Faintly, one could see a golden energy rushing in all directions on the sea, with a radius of hundreds of miles. A group of staff was stunned and they asked each other what happened, but they couldn't get an answer. Everyone reported that the communication between the various fleets had been lost, and soon, the satellite images also disappeared. The entire command hall was dead silent. The commander with the rank of admiral slammed his fist on the table and roared angrily. "Ice, wreak havoc!" Lin Muyu spread his hands and released his divine power. Instantly the sea began to freeze. The surging sea calmed down instantly, and the warships were also frozen on the sea. The soldiers on the warships were all dumbfounded, and they could only watch what was happening in front of them helplessly. The deck of Washington was filled with soldiers with guns and they were all at a loss. Lin Muyu's goal was simple. He flew above the aircraft carrier with a long sword in his hand, pointed at the ice on the sea, and said with a penetrating voice, "Get down, everyone!" The soldiers shot crazily. However, not a single bullet could cause any harm to Lin Muyu. On the contrary, the ice on the edge of the aircraft carrier exploded one after another. Monsters with long halberds flew out of the sea one after another, roaring at the soldiers, and began to drive the people on Washington away. The Gong Gong Navy was invulnerable, not even bullets. Soon the soldiers became desperate and helpless. One after another, they began to leave the aircraft carrier and head to other battleships to seek survival. After nearly an hour, everyone on the aircraft carrier had left. Lin Muyu launched another magnetic shock wave, destroying the tracking devices on the aircraft carrier and the battleship. Then with an order the aircraft carrier started moving again. However, this time it was not powered by nuclear power. Instead, it was powered by human power. Numerous Gong Gong Navy soldiers pushed the aircraft carrier through the ice behind it. Lin Muyu raised his head and glanced at the sky. Wherever his mind reached, dark clouds rolled over. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The dark clouds hid the aircraft carrier at an extremely low altitude. Just like that, the aircraft carrier left the South China Sea with Washington. The speed of the aircraft carrier was getting faster and faster, and it had long surpassed the original speed of Washington. Late at night in Yulin, Hainan, a cloud drifted over from the base of the South China Sea Fleet. It also brought a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, Washington, which was the world's leading technology. The aircraft carrier quickly entered the hidden area of the mountain. Zhong Nanhai issued an order. Within half a month they would break up the entire fleet and begin to crack the technical system of Washington. However, the meritorious minister had quietly left and returned to Shanghai with 30,000 Navy troops. The next day the M Nation released shocking news, claiming that the world's largest robbery in history had taken place. A masked robber of unknown origin had robbed an extremely precious military facility. He had robbed an aircraft carrier, as well as the aircraft carrier that was fully loaded with carrier-based aircraft. For the time being, no organization claimed responsibility for this matter. Experts believed that this matter had something to do with the recent abnormal weather and so on. Shanghai, the Lin family's villa. Watching the heated news on TV, Lin Muyu crossed her legs and couldn't help but sneer. She suddenly regretted it. In fact, she should have dragged the flagship Blue Ridge away with her. Chapter 11:17. At noon, although it was snowing heavily, 2 helicopters still landed on the lawn of the Lin family's courtyard, causing the snow to sway in the wind. Lin Shun, Lin Muyu, Lin Yan, and the others waited respectfully in front of the living room. The first person to alight from the helicopter was Li Xiaoyao, and the second was Zhong, who was wrapped in a thick leather robe. For such a heavyweight to appear in the backyard of the Lin family, naturally something big was about to happen. "Hello, President Lin?" Zhong seemed to know Lin Shun. Lin Shun also greeted him with a smile. "Welcome, Zhong. Please come in, it's warm inside." Zhong smiled and nodded at Lin Muyu, then entered the living room of the Lin family. Li Xiaoyao glanced around, and Xing Lai immediately led a few special forces to guard all the exits and entrances of the Lin family's residence, and even set up sentries on the balcony. The living room was as warm as before. Zhong took off his robe and sat down with the help of Li Xiaoyao. His face was flushed and he said with a smile, "Lin Ji, there's news from Yulin. This time I came specially to thank you." As he spoke, Zhong looked at Lin Shun and Lin Yan and said, "Why don't we go somewhere private to talk?" However, Lin Muyu waved her hand and said with a smile, "Zhong, there's no need. They're my family. They have the right to know everything I've done and they'll definitely keep their mouths shut. Don't worry, Zhong." "That's good." Lin Shun frowned. "Xiaoji, did you really do what happened in the South China Sea?" Lin Muyu did not hide anything. "Dad, I wanted to tell you earlier, but I was afraid that you wouldn't be able to accept it. However, since Zhong and Li Xiaoyao are both here, I should let you know. I originally went to the South China Sea to look for a dormant army to follow me to another world, but I happened to encounter the 7th Fleet, so I could only complete Xiaoyao's mission. This is too absurd." Lin Shun found it hard to accept. Li Xiaoyao gave him a thumbs up. "You did much better than I expected." With a gentle smile, Elder Zhong replied, "Mr. Lin, don't be anxious. Some things require time to digest. But to be honest, I'm really envious of you for having such a good son. To us, Lin Ji is an extraordinary person, but he didn't lose his nature despite possessing great power. That's something that you should be thankful for." "I know, Zhong, but..." Lin Shun was a little helpless and said, "But in fact, I just want to live an ordinary life. I don't want to get involved in so many things." "Mr. Lin, don't worry. I will ensure the safety of you and your family." Zhong whispered, "In addition, I'm not only here to express my gratitude this time. I also want to ask Lin Ji about something." Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. "Zhong wants to ask about the abnormal climate, right?" Zhong was stunned. "Yes, you really have foresight." Li Xiaoyao said, "Lin Ji, Zhong is one of us. You can tell us the consequences of the abnormal climate this time. After all, this concerns the lives of so many people in the world." Lin Muyu looked around and wanted to say something but stopped. Li Xiaoyao immediately said, "Fu Tu, bring all the unrelated people out. What's going to happen here is top secret." "Yes." Fu Tu led the 3 bodyguards who were in charge of protecting Elder Zhong out of the door. With a peng sound, the door to the living room was slammed shut. Only Li Xiaoyao, Elder Zhong, and Lin Muyu's family were left inside. Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin were lying on the sofa at the side and looked over without saying a word. Lin Muyu was silent for a while before saying, "Although I don't understand it very clearly, but it is true that the world is going to change. Zhong, I can tell you for sure that other than Earth, there are many galaxies with life forms similar to ours. There are tens of thousands of such life planes, and the ones who control these planes are the gods of the divine realm. These gods are very strong and can absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. They can chase the clouds and chase the moon, and live as long as the heaven and earth. But recently, the spiritual energy and elements that the gods of the heavenly realm rely on to survive are rapidly disappearing. The gods are losing their power and they are about to become mortals. The disappearance of the elements has caused the abnormal weather. In the divine realm we call it heavenly punishment. It is the punishment of the heavens to the 6 realms. As for what will happen next, I am not very sure." Elder Zhong was taken aback by Lin Muyu's words. He seemed to need some time to digest Lin Muyu's words. Li Xiaoyao's face was solemn and he didn't say anything. Lin Shun and Lin Yan were just like Zhong, they were all stunned. After a few seconds, Zhong nodded and said, "Tell me, how will it affect us?" "There may be catastrophic weather. The disappearance of the laws and the change in power may cause tsunamis, earthquakes, and other natural disasters just like the snow outside." Lin Muyu looked at Zhong with a penetrating gaze and said, "I have sensed the decreasing speed of the laws in this snow. Based on this speed, it will take about 3 years for all the laws to disappear. In other words, this snow will last for 3 years." "What, 3 years?" Zhong's whole body trembled. This was not good news. "That's right, 3 years." Lin Muyu nodded. "I think the next thing that Zhong Nanhai should pay attention to is not some military conflict, but the livelihood of the people. Hoarding food, maintaining warmth, and trying to reduce hunger and cold will bring problems to the people's livelihood. This will minimize the losses caused by this change. I got it. Zhong took a deep breath and said, the food we have stored is basically enough for the major cities to consume for 3 years. The only problem is the supply of food in the countryside and mountainous areas. But don't worry, the country will naturally do its best to solve this problem. As for the problems of protection against the cold and energy, we will also do our best to solve them. Lin Muyu looked straight at Zhong and said, Zhong, this snow will last for 3 years. Perhaps there won't be any sunlight for 3 years. Don't expect to use a greenhouse to grow any plants. I know. Zhong fell into deep thought. Lin Muyu breathed a sigh of relief and said, I may have to leave here soon and go to another plane to find a solution. I will also do my best to end the time of the heavenly punishment. Zhong nodded and said, the aircraft carrier you brought back is in the process of being dismantled. This will provide excellent comparative data for our technology. At the same time, it can also deal a blow to the other party's arrogance on the Nanhai issue. Lin Ji, I thank you on behalf of the country. You're welcome. Lin Muyu's eyes were calm as she said, I am a Chinese. This is what I should do. Please forgive me for not being able to destroy the entire 7th Fleet or even the entire navy of the M nation. Although I have the ability to do so, the demise of one hegemony means the birth of another hegemony. I don't want too many people to die. I hope you can understand. I will. Zhong's eyes were filled with more praise. He said, Lin Ji, is there anything else you need my help with? Dad and brother are staying in Shanghai. Please take care of me. Don't worry about that. Zhong smiled slightly. The country will give great support and help to the Long Xian group in terms of policies and projects. You don't have to worry about this. Lin Shun was a little excited. He knew what Zhong's words meant. It meant that the future of the Long Xian group was bright. Lin Muyu thought for a while and said, Zhong, I have another presumptuous request. Speak. I want a batch of advanced firearms. Firearms? Zhong was slightly stunned. Yes. Lin Muyu nodded heavily. I need 10,000 submachine guns and enough bullets. How long do you need to prepare them for me? So many. Elder Zhong was taken aback. What are they used for? To conquer another world. Li Xiaoyao smiled. Zhong, Type 95 submachine guns will do. As for 10,000, it's not impossible. But how are you going to leave with these submachine guns, Lin Ji? Don't worry. I have my ways. Li Xiaoyao looked at Zhong and asked, what do you think? Zhong nodded without hesitation. No problem. Call the Nanjing military region immediately. Once they are ready, send 10,000 submachine guns and enough bullets by air. Yes. In the afternoon, according to Lin Muyu's suggestion, the Lin family went to the mall to shop. Firstly, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi needed to buy some winter clothes to bring back to the Shattered Cauldron realm. Secondly, Lin Shun and Lin Yan also needed to buy winter clothes to protect themselves from the cold. Apart from that, they also needed to prepare some food and other food. After all, Lin Muyu could see further than others. Although the Lin family would definitely not starve with Zhong and Li Xiaoyao around, it was best to solve things that they could solve themselves. In the mall, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi each bought more than 10 sets of winter and autumn clothes. Lin Shun and Lin Yan also bought a few sets, then they went to the supermarket to buy daily necessities. Not long after, Lin Muyu stood at the rice shop and lingered around. What's wrong? You want to move all the rice here? Lin Yan was speechless. I'll buy as much as I can. Lin Muyu sighed. I'm worried that you and Dad will starve in Shanghai. If you really can't do it, you can cook some rice and use pickled vegetables to make up for it. Damn, it won't be that bad. Lin Yan said. In any case, Shanghai has developed for so many years and has accumulated so many resources. It won't be a problem to make up for it in 3 years. Don't brag. How many resources are there in Shanghai? They are all transported in from other places every day. The roads may be blocked by heavy snow soon. Do you think it will be so easy to transport resources? Lin Muyu's words made Lin Yan speechless. Lin Shun said, Xiaoji, don't be in a hurry to buy the food here. I'll call my assistant to buy some rice online and send it to our house. Well, that's fine. Let's fill up the warehouse first. Okay. Subsequently, Lin Muyu began to buy vacuum-packed canned food and so on. For the sake of this family, she also worried a lot. They bought 4 trucks of food. After paying for all of them, they pushed them to the garage and loaded them into the car. The family worked hard to transport the winter food home. Chapter 11:18. The next day, the firearms were transported from Nanjing, and the backyard of the Lin family was filled to the brim. Just as Lin Shun and Lin Yan were wondering how Lin Muyu transported these supplies, Lin Muyu took out more than 100 space bags, all of which were brought back from the Shattered Cauldron realm. She had looted almost all the space bags in Lanyan City, and now they came in handy. The transportation method of the space bag within the space bag perfectly swallowed this batch of firearms. Finally, it turned into a small cosmos bag that was tied to Lin Muyu's waist. Lin Shun and Lin Yan were dumbfounded. On the third day they were ready to leave. Lin Muyu bade farewell to her father and brother, then left Gomang to protect her family. Anyway, the war between the Shattered Cauldron realm and the Immortal realm did not lack Gomang. Her family, however, lacked a super bodyguard with both strength and character. Amidst the flying snow, Lin Muyu changed into the armor of the Shattered Cauldron realm and stood on the balcony of her house. She was about to leave with Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. Lin Shun and Lin Yan sent her outside. The snow fell on Lin Shun's hair and shoulders as if it had dyed his hair white. He did not know when his son would return, and his eyes were filled with reluctance and helplessness. Lin Muyu slowly flew up, followed by Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. The three of them turned back to look at their family. "Xiaoji, you must come back early," Lin Yan said loudly. Lin Muyu trembled. "Brother, I will." In the sky, golden light shone brightly. The passage to the plane had been opened. Golden runes flew and lingered in the air. This kind of divine power was not something a mortal could possess. The heavy snow gradually blocked Lin Muyu's view of her father until she could not see Lin Shun's face. Suddenly Lin Shun's heart-wrenching cry came from the snow, "Son, come back early." Lin Muyu's body trembled and tears flowed out of her eyes. She lowered her hands and bent her body slightly. Her entire body trembled and she cried like a child. Why did she have to leave her family? Why did she have to step onto such a dangerous path? Perhaps it was because of that responsibility. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi looked at Lin Muyu with teary eyes. "Big brother you, Mu." Lin Muyu didn't respond. Instead, she raised her head and looked at the sky. She couldn't bear to turn around and chase after her father and brother anymore. Therefore, she transformed into a bolt of lightning and flashed into the space tunnel. Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin followed closely behind her. Meanwhile, from the East Sea, streams of golden light rose into the sky. Those were the figures of the 30,000 Gong Gong Navy warriors, who flew into the heaven. The scorching sand of time cleansed their bodies. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi all slightly knitted their eyebrows as they sensed a great discomfort. After the divine punishment descended, their cultivations had been dropping ceaselessly, and they seemed to be unable to bear the strong impact caused by the space shuttling. This was also the reason why Lin Muyu left in a hurry. If she delayed any longer, she might not be able to return to Broken Cauldron World. After an unknown period of time, a golden crack appeared in the dark space ahead of them. That was the entrance to Broken Cauldron World. Lin Muyu and the other two passed through the crack. In the next moment, their eyes shone, and they were already above Lanyan City. As expected, it was snowing in Lanyan City. The heavy snow covered this ancient and majestic city with snow. The three of them flew straight towards Zetian Palace Hall. Before they even landed, there were already people coming over to welcome them. It was Feng Jixing and Wei Chou. Without saying a word, Feng Jixing opened his arms and hugged his brother. He smiled and said, "How are you doing in your hometown?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. "I've returned to my hometown in glory, and my family is healthy." That's good, that's good." Feng Jixing patted his shoulder. "Then come back and focus on the battle." Lin Muyu nodded, then said, "Big brother Feng, is there any news on Yangshang's side?" "No." Feng Jixing said, "The divine punishment has descended, and everyone's power is being taken away by the heaven and earth. Yangshang will soon become immortal, and he won't have the ruthlessness he once had. Everyone will be equal soon and we can have a fair battle. Is there any news from the heavenly realm?" "Not yet." Lin Muyu looked at the restless Qin Yin beside her and said softly, "Xiao Yin, after arranging everything in Lanyan City, I will accompany you to the immortal realm, and take a look at the place where Sister Xian disappeared." Qin Yin nodded hard. That was what she wanted to do the most. Immortal realm, East Heaven, 8 Wastelands boundary. Lightning flashed between heaven and earth. The peaceful 8 Wastelands boundary no longer existed, and in its place was a scene of doomsday. Heaven and earth were covered in blood red, and other than that, there were demonic lightning that could kill divine bodies. As the power of the nomological laws decreased, the demonic aura between heaven and earth began to fill up. "Can't hold on any longer?" The seven luminaries demon emperor stood majestically next to the Bahuang pillar, raised his hands, and infused his godly power into the pillar. He shouted, "I don't care what heavenly punishment you are, the Bahuang pillar is the pillar that protects all living beings in the world. How can I let you, a mere heavenly thief, destroy it just like that?" In the sky, the blood cloud slowly pressed down, forming a majestic aura. Instantly the 8 pillars trembled violently and cracked. Wung. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's godly power seeped into the pillars, and he roared angrily to resist the majestic heavenly might. But even a peerless expert like the 7 luminaries demon emperor could not resist the heavenly might. In the blink of an eye, the Bahuang pillar collapsed, and the 7 luminaries demon emperor spat out a mouthful of blood, and his forehead was covered with sweat from the pain. He gritted his teeth and said, "Why? Why?" Demon Emperor. Behind him Xiao's voice sounded. "Xiao." The 7 luminaries demon emperor turned majestically and murmured, "Why aren't you guarding the 6 harmonies world?" Tears welled up in Xiao's eyes. Demon Emperor, the 6 harmonies gate has collapsed. The 6 harmonies world has collapsed. Demon Emperor, our celestial realm has really come to an end. No. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's expression became abnormally ferocious, and he roared angrily, "I am the 7 luminaries demon emperor, I'm not afraid of anything. I don't care what divine punishment or heavenly punishment, I'll support the 3 realms even if I have to give up this body of flesh and blood." As he spoke, the 7 luminaries demon emperor suddenly soared into the sky, and he raised his palms, which transformed into giant arms that held up the sky. Just like that, he forcibly held up the collapsing sky. But how could heavenly punishment be stopped just like that? Purple lightning shot out from the blood cloud, and like thorns, they wreaked havoc around the 7 luminaries demon emperor's body. Light shone in all directions, and the demon emperor's painful howls reverberated between heaven and earth. "Demon Emperor, why do you have to do this?" Xiao's face was covered in tears. The 7 luminaries demon emperor's entire body was imprisoned by vines made of lightning, but he opened his eyes wide and shouted in a low voice, "Don't cry, I am the guardian of the East. Even if I die, I won't let 8 wasteland realm collapse. When heavenly punishment descends, everyone tries to avoid it, but I don't believe it. Even if I die, I won't take a step back." Xiao, immediately return to East Heaven and protect the God's Stone. That is the source of power for the gods of East Heaven. Xiao wiped away her tears and nodded, "Yes." Just as Xiao left, 2 streaks of light flew over. It was Lin Muyu and Qinin. "Big brother." When Lin Muyu saw the 7 luminaries demon emperor trapped under the blood cloud, her heart ached as if it had been pierced by a sharp knife. The once arrogant 7 luminaries demon emperor had actually fallen to such a miserable state. Clang! The Shenyuan sword was unsheathed, and Lin Muyu turned into a bolt of lightning and flew under the blood cloud. The sword light wreaked havoc, and with a piu sound, the lightning continued to grow like vines, and the speed at which it grew was far faster than Lin Muyu's cutting speed. He was anxious, and with bloodshot eyes, he roared angrily, and used his strongest power to fight against the blood cloud. The blood cloud's lightning vines pierced under the 7 luminaries demon emperor's skin, and began to continuously absorb the 7 luminaries demon emperor's divine power. No. Lin Muyu was blasted dozens of meters back by the surging lightning, and tears swirled in her eyes. She struggled to raise her arms, and the Shenyuan sword shone brightly as it pierced into the blood cloud. Suddenly, a series of stars exploded in the blood cloud. "You." The 7 luminaries demon emperor opened his eyes, and there was a smile in his tired eyes. "Silly boy, don't waste your energy. It's useless, my power has replaced the Bahuang pillar to fight against the demonic qi. They are absorbing my divine power, but at least this can delay it, and prevent the 8 wasteland domain from collapsing immediately." Lin Muyu's tears fell, and he pulled out his sword, flew to the 7 luminaries demon emperor, and slashed randomly, but the vines were endless. "Don't be so stubborn." The 7 luminaries demon emperor looked at him and murmured, "Such a stubborn supreme god, I alone am enough. You still have your own things to do, don't waste your energy to save me, this is my destiny, you have to go, fulfill your destiny, big brother." Lin Muyu grabbed a lightning vine and his palm was burning hot and he said, I'm useless, I can't save you, no one can save me." The 7 luminaries demon emperor seemed to be very tired, and he closed his eyes, then continued, "You listen carefully, the fall of the gods is a fact and it is irreversible. The seal of the 6 realms has been destroyed, and the power of the demon realm has flowed into the 6 realms. The demonic chi is looking for a new host, and those bloodthirsty, greedy gods will absorb the demonic chi and become demon gods. Once they become demon gods, their power will be far beyond our imagination. Listen, your mission now is not to save me but to kill. Kill? Lin Muyu was shocked. Yes, kill those demon gods. Northern Heaven Realm. Northern Heaven Realm's Yangshang is tyrannical by nature, and his subordinates are greedy beyond measure. Once the demon realm recognizes them, the entire 6 realms will be finished. You have to kill all the demon gods like Yangshang before the demonic chi reaches the Shattered Cauldron realm. Leave quickly, the blood cloud demonic chi only wants my power. You can't threaten them for now, leave quickly. I got it. Lin Muyu put down the lightning vine, and looked at the dense lightning wrapping around the body of the 7 luminaries demon emperor. You remember? Heaven and Earth's vital energy, vast and everlasting. Heaven and Earth's vital energy, vast and everlasting. Lin Muyu clenched her fists and looked in the direction of the mortal realm. The war between the god realm and the demon realm had finally begun. However, the power of the gods was weakening, while the power of the demons was increasing crazily. Chapter 11:19. In the Chaos Realm, the seal of the 6 realms had been completely broken. Endless demonic aura filled the universe, turning the originally peaceful Chaos Realm into a sea of fire overflowing with demonic aura. In the sky, the battle angels wielding holy swords of light had serious expressions on their faces. The wings on their backs were fully spread open, and at the very front was a group of radiant angels wielding shields. This time, the Western Divine Realm had mobilized their main forces to resist the invasion of the devil energy. At the forefront of the crowd was Claude, holding a flowing light sword. His figure was shrouded in a dark light, and his expression could not be seen. Swoosh swoosh, 2 beams of light descended from the sky and landed beside Shiming, whose body had already collapsed. Shiming's mouth exploded completely, and an invisible barrier appeared in its place. It was like a thin layer of gauze separating the realm of gods and the realm of demons. It was as if it existed in name only. Sister Haiyan. Qin Yin held Dong Hua in her hand, her eyes filled with reluctance as she looked into the depths of the barrier. Lin Muyu guarded beside Qin Yin, frowning. Xiaoyin, Sister Xian and Eva's aura all disappeared here. They might not have really died in battle. Perhaps, they have gone to the other side of the demon realm? Qin Yin moved her red lips, wanting to say something but hesitating. Lin Muyu naturally knew what she wanted to say, so she comforted her softly. You can't go to the demon realm. After all, your cultivation is not comparable to the seraphim. Also, you have to believe in Sister Xian. If she is really still alive, she will definitely be able to fight her way out and return to our side. Yeah. Qin Yin nodded gently. Lin Muyu slowly pulled out the Shenyuan sword and smiled. But it seems that we have intruded into someone else's important place. Behind them, Claude slowly descended with thousands of battle angels. The angels did not say a word, but looked at the 2 warily. There were also acquaintances among them. Li Fei, the deputy dean of the largest training ground in the Western Divine Realm, equivalent to one of Qin Yin's first teachers. Xin, is it really you? Li Fei looked at Qin Yin in astonishment. At this moment, Qin Yin's temperament was completely different. Her aura could not be mentioned in the same breath as before. Her strength was even above Li Fei's. Feisteen, long time no see. Qin Yin smiled gently. Li Fei nodded and smiled. Yes, it's been a long time. Everything has changed. But I don't understand. The Eastern and Western Divine Realms have long declared war. Since you've stepped into East Heaven, why come back here? Qin Yin looked at the endless demon world and said, because of Sister Haiyan. Li Fei's expression changed slightly. She wanted to say something but stopped. Claude smiled faintly and said, Xin, you used to be a golden-winged battle angel of the Western Divine Realm, my favorite student. Now you've joined the Eastern Divine Realm. Is this how you repay me and Xiyan? Great Hegemon, I've never been your favorite disciple. I was just a tool you used to kill. Qin Yin looked at Claude indifferently. The luster of the eyes of blazing dawn slowly appeared, and the aura of the domain gradually dispersed. Even Claude felt a little uncomfortable. Claude snorted coldly and raised his eyebrows. You traitor. Since you're here today, don't even think about leaving. Claude, you idiot. The one who spoke was Lin Muyu. The moment she opened her mouth, she scolded angrily. The group of angels of the Western Divine Realm were stunned. For so many years, no one dared to scold Claude like this. Besides the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Lin Muyu was the only one who dared to do so. All the angels were worried. It's over. This handsome kid is finished. He definitely won't be able to leave. However, Lin Muyu was not afraid at all. He held the Xin Yuan sword tightly with both hands and held it in front of him. Waves of divine power rippled out. He looked at Claude and smiled calmly. The seal of the 6 realms has been destroyed. The demon chi has invaded. The first place to bear the brunt is the Western Divine Realm. Do you still want to fight me at this time? Do you still want to continue to fight with the Eastern Divine Realm? Would you rather sink into becoming a puppet of the demon realm and give up the glory and dignity of the Western gods? Claude was speechless. Lin Muyu's words were like knives stabbing his heart. They were all sore spots for Claude. The sharp sword in his hand trembled slightly. He said, Lin Muyu, why did you bring Xin to the chaotic realm? Don't tell me it's just to remember Shi Yan who died in battle. No, Shi Yan won't die in battle. She must still be alive. I believe in her. Lin Muyu's words were sonorous. He said, let me give you a piece of advice. Don't be stubborn anymore. The power of the demon realm has begun to infiltrate. The future of the Western Divine Realm is in your hands. Take your people and leave here. Don't die in vain. I've just peeped into the power of the demon realm. It's not something you can fight against. Moreover, Tian Fa has already taken more than 40% of our divine power. Even if you stay here, you won't be able to do anything. Claude's heart trembled. Lin Muyu had seen through everything. She even saw through him losing 40% of his strength. However, Claude still said sternly, the matters of the Western Divine Realm don't need a marshal of the Eastern Divine Realm like you to manage. Just do your part. Since you said so, the 4 Divine Realms should join forces to fight against the Demon Realm. Go take Xin away from here. I don't want to kill any more. Lin Muyu's lips curled up. She smiled. Then farewell. In front of so many battle angels, Lin Muyu had to leave some face for the ruler of the Western Divine Realm. The truth was that as long as Lin Muyu wanted to leave, Claude definitely wouldn't be able to stop her. Even if it was a one-on-one battle, Lin Muyu might not necessarily lose. Of course, with the addition of a large group of battle angels, she would definitely lose. However, escaping wouldn't be a problem. Xiaoyin, let's go. Let's return to the Shattered Cauldron Realm and complete our mission. Let's stop the war with war, Lin Muyu said softly. Okay. Qin nodded. The two of them dove down to the mortal world. Looking at the backs of Lin Muyu and Qin, Li Fei moved her red lips and said, when Shi Yan and Eva were here, our Western Divine Realm could be said to be full of talents. But now, we no longer have geniuses like Lin Muyu and Xin. Don't say any more, Li Fei. Claude glanced at her indifferently and said, are there any movements from the other 3 Divine Realms? Li Fei said, I just received news that the 6 Harmonies Realm guarded by Ziyao, the Middle Palace Realm guarded by Sun Feng, and the Yellow Springs Realm guarded by Dong Ming have all fallen. In addition to the spiritual movement realm that Lord Ruler has just lost, only the 8 Wasteland Realm guarded by the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor is struggling to hold on. However, I believe that Lord Ruler can also sense that the divine power of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor is rapidly depleting. If nothing unexpected happens, the 8 Wasteland Realm will not be able to hold on much longer. Claude took a deep breath. A hint of sadness appeared on his face as he said, I didn't expect that after fighting with the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor and Dong Ming for so many years, I would end up benefiting from it. Just what is the Demon Realm trying to do? Devour the 6 realms, kill the gods, and destroy the Buddhas. What else can they do? Li Fei's expression was indifferent as she said, we are definitely on the Demon Realm's kill list. Lord Ruler, please make a decision as soon as possible. Should we fight against the Demon Realm's flames in the Spirit Mountains? Or should we scatter and flee to the various lower realms to take refuge? This is all for Lord Ruler to decide. If we take refuge, who will resist the invasion of the Demon Realm? But Lord Ruler, our power will disappear at once. In less than half a month, we will all be reduced to mortals. What right do we have to fight against the Demon Realm? What right do we have to talk about protecting the 6 realms? Claude looked into the distance. There, a group of battle angels were waving their sharp swords and slashing at the demonic flames. Angels were constantly being devoured by the demonic flames, and their souls were burned away. As Li Fei had said, the divine realm could not hold on any longer. Forget it. Let's go to the lower realms to take refuge. Claude looked at the crowd and said, All the gods of the Western Divine Realm, follow me to the border of the lower realms. We will never return until this heavenly punishment is over. Yes, Lord Ruler. Streams of light disappeared from the universe of the primal chaos realm. All the gods had fallen and gone to the lower realms. No one knew what was waiting for them in the future, but one thing was for sure. Claude had given up on his responsibility and the countless planes under the jurisdiction of the Western Divine Realm. Shattered Cauldron Realm, Celestial Pole Continent. Heavy snow danced in the sky of Tianji City. This city, which was designated as the capital of the Kingdom of Shang by Yang, had gathered almost all the elites of the Celestial Pole Continent. The business here was flourishing. However, the gods were rather rampant and did not care about the mortals. In the Tianji Palace, all the gods were wrapped in leather robes. All of them looked at the heavy snow outside blankly. The snow on the streets of the Imperial City has already piled up to 2 meters high. There are more than 10,000 vehicles transporting snow out of the city every day. A god emperor frowned and said, "Your Majesty Emperor Shang, since the heavenly punishment has already descended, we should end this war as soon as possible. We should bring our warriors back to the Northern Divine Realm and resist the invasion of the Demon Realm." Resist the Demon Realm? Yang sat on the throne with a golden wine cup in his hand and said, "The Eastern and Western Divine Realms have already been defeated. Who else can resist the Demon Realm? Returning to the Divine Realm now is courting death. Why not stay here?" "But I heard that Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi have already returned to the Shattered Cauldron Realm. The Shattered Cauldron Realm can be said to be full of talents now. If we don't take the initiative to attack, I'm afraid we will be controlled by others." That makes sense." Yang narrowed his eyes and said, "The main strength of Lin Muyu's Dragon League comes from the 64 domains. They are all a bunch of old antiques. Although they have powerful divine power, they may not be a match for our Northern Divine Realm's God Execution Battle Formation. Pass down my order to quickly make preparations. We must forge 2,000 warships within a month. After a month we will set out and destroy the Shattered Cauldron Realm in one go. We will be the king of this celestial pole continent." "Yes." Beside Yang Dora said in a low voice, "Then what about Emperor Shang and Si Kongyao? Should we touch her?" The Bai Zhe mercenaries under Si Kongyao's control are already close to 300,000 troops. The warships at the port are also close to 1,000. This is a big piece of fat meat. "I know." The corner of Yang mouth rose and a sinister smile appeared. He said, "Previously I was only afraid of Si Kongming's identity as a sky beyond heaven. Now that heavenly punishment has descended, all the gods will be reduced to mortals. As long as everyone is a mortal, it will be time for us to take action against the Bai Zhe mercenaries. How can we allow others to sleep beside our bed? Am I right?" His Majesty Emperor Shang is wise. The entire hall was filled with echoes of praise. Chapter 11:20. Lanyan City. Heavy snow was falling and winter plum blossoms were in full bloom. The imperial garden of Zetian Palace was filled with the rustling sound of snow falling to the ground. A group of imperial guards walked slowly through the falling snow, and palace maids were serving in the pavilion of the imperial garden with heaters in their hands. On the table was the Nuwa zither, which was shining brightly. Qin Yin was sitting at the side, but she was not in the mood to play the zither. Lin Muyu was dressed in a white imperial guard armor. Looking at the falling snow outside the pavilion, she couldn't help but shiver. She said, "It seems that the weather has turned cold again." "It's not that the weather has turned cold but that we have become weaker," Qin Yin said with a faint smile. "Someone bring a robe for Brother Yu." "Yes, Your Highness." A palace maid turned and left. Tang Xiaoxi sat on the railing of the pavilion, and the power of the Law of Flames was circulating in her palm. She blinked her bright eyes and said, "In just one day, I have lost another 10% of my divine power. I'm afraid that my cultivation will become that of a mortal in 7 days." Lin Muyu walked forward and reached out to brush the falling snow off her shoulder. She said, "Me too. My power is disappearing like a gushing river. This is the punishment of the gods by the heavens." Qin Yin said, "Once we become mortals, I'm afraid that the attack of the celestial pole land will come." "Don't worry. We will deal with it when it comes. Our defense along the coastline can be said to be impregnable." Lin Muyu took a deep breath. "Yesterday I have already ordered Torch Dragon to bring 30,000 naval troops to the East Sea to ambush and wait for my orders. In this battle we will only fight with Yang on the sea. We must eliminate more than half of Yangshang's military forces in one battle. Yes. Qin Yin smiled sweetly. With Brother Yu around, I don't have to worry too much. Rustle, rustle. Amidst the sound of footsteps, Feng Jixing, dressed in a white robe, came treading on the snow. He knelt down respectfully. Greetings, Your Highness. General Feng, please rise. What's the matter? Yes. Feng Jixing said in a low voice, the snow has been falling intermittently for nearly a month. All the major provinces have sent letters requesting for help. In some areas, the snow is as deep as 3 meters, enough to drown anyone, making it impossible to travel. Many of the poor people's cotton-padded clothes are unable to withstand this rare cold, and they have frozen to death at home. Currently, there are poor people frozen to death in all the provinces. At least thousands, at most tens of thousands. Qin Yin's shoulders couldn't help but shiver. She mumbled, ask Aunt Lien to draft an imperial edict, ordering the governors of the major provinces to oversee the rescue work. They can use the local armies to assist in the rescue. In the imperial edict, state clearly that the governors who slack in the rescue work will be beheaded without exception. Yes. Feng Jixing cupped his fists and said, then this subordinate will go and do it now? Lin Muyu asked, Brother Feng, is there anyone who froze to death in Lanyan City? Yes. Feng Jixing said with some difficulty, according to the statistics from 4 hours ago, more than 300 people froze to death in Lanyan City. Most of them were wanderers and some of them were commoners who couldn't afford charcoal to keep out the cold. Lin Muyu sighed, use the national treasury's resources to save the commoners. But Feng Jixing frowned, the national treasury's resources are used for war. Are we really going to use it to save the commoners? Yes. Lin Muyu looked up at the falling snow in the sky and said, why is the heavens angry? I think it's because we never care about the commoners' lives. We only covet for hegemony. Whether we win this war or not, we can't let the common people down. Yes, I understand. Feng Jixing nodded and said, have you tried using divine power to change the temperature and abnormal weather? It's useless. Divine power can't change the weather of Tianfa. I've tried. Sigh, then I'll go and do something. I'll go with you. Okay. In the evening, on Lanyan City's Tongtian Street, a group of imperial soldiers swept the snow on the road with brooms. Lin Muyu and Feng Jixing walked side by side in front of the group. Behind them were carts filled with charcoal. Zetian Palace took out their reserves and distributed charcoal and all kinds of living necessities to the commoners on Tongtian Street. As they walked, there was a sudden boom. Not far away, a wooden house collapsed, followed by heart-wrenching cries. The snow was so thick that many houses collapsed under the weight of it. Lin Muyu took a big stride forward and used her divine power to lift up the collapsed house. She saw a mother and son curled up in the corner of the house, shivering. Come out quickly, Lin Muyu said. The mother was shocked and ran out with her son in her arms. Then she knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Thank you, my lady. Thank you for saving our lives. You're welcome. Lin Muyu helped them up. Seeing that the house was no longer livable, she looked at Feng Jixing. Brother Feng, is there an emergency refugee camp? There is, but it's already full of refugees. Feng Jixing was helpless. Forget it. Someone send this mother and son to the Imperial Army's camp. Order the brothers to take out spare tents and build a few refugee camps in the Imperial Army's camp. Provide them with food every day. Yes, Commander. Guanxing was dressed in a white robe. He cupped his fists and said, Commander, how many refugees do we need? I'll make the arrangements. How many tents do we have? How much can we afford? If the Imperial Army's rations are reduced by 30% every day, we can save about 20,000 refugees. There should be enough tents. Then go and do it. Feng Jixing waved his hand and said, saving people is more important. Go and do it immediately. Yes. Guanxing spurred his horse and left. Lin Muyu nodded. Looking at the thickening snow on the ground, she said in a low voice, Wei Chou. Lin General, I'm here. Please give me your orders. Like the Imperial Army, Longdan Army Camp should also take out our spare supplies and build refugee camps on the empty land in the south and north of the city. Remember, send people to clean every day. We can't let the refugee camps collapse. Yes, I'll do it right now. Wei Chou carried the Hui Bao and got on his horse. Longdan Army Camp is the Empire's main force in the future war against the Celestial Pole continent. Are you going to reduce the rations of the Longdan Army Camp? Feng Jixing asked with a smile. Lin Muyu smiled bitterly and shrugged. What can I do? Just like what you said, saving people is more important. We will no longer be gods. Since we are mortals, we should put our conscience first. Say, what is the meaning of heavenly punishment? Why do bad gods and good gods lose their power? Feng Jixing looked up at the sky and said, I don't think I've done anything that goes against my conscience other than war. However, my strength is also rapidly depleting. It's going to be difficult to even kill a chicken soon. What's going on? I don't know either. Perhaps, heavenly punishment is to punish all gods. Let's go and continue to send charcoal and clothes. Yes. Further ahead, there were corpses lying on the snowy ground. Some of the corpses were wearing very thin clothes. They were frozen to death and their skin was covered with a layer of frost. Even when they died, the place where their corpses were placed occupied the streets. In the distance, a group of homeless people ran over. They frantically stripped the clothes of the dead and put them on themselves. All of them were shivering in the cold. Damn it, they're even robbing the clothes of the dead. Zhang Wei shouted angrily. His palm was already on the hilt of his saber. Lin Muyu hurriedly raised her hand. Old Zhang, don't do it. They have no choice. If they don't rob the clothes of the dead, they will be the next corpse. Someone give each of these homeless people a coat. Yes, Lin General. Intimidated by the dignity of a soldier, the homeless people obediently took a coat and disappeared into the street corner. Do you know how much a coat like this can sell for? Feng Jixing asked. I don't know. 3 Jining coins. Oh my god, so expensive. Yes. Feng Jixing said meaningfully, if I'm not wrong, these tramps will sell their cotton-padded clothes. Who knows which tavern they'll be drinking hard liquor and cuddling with girls tonight. Actually, letting these people freeze to death might not be a bad thing. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. Damn, you have this kind of thinking. The heavenly punishment will punish you first. No wonder your power is depleting faster than mine. Feng Jixing laughed. I'm not happy when you say that. My way of thinking has nothing to do with kindness. I'm just more rational. I can't be a goody two-shoes. No matter what, it's a life. As long as they don't harm the heavens, we can't decide their fate. Brat, you seem to have improved. Of course. But I'm still punished by the heavenly punishment. When you return to the holy heaven state, I'll fight it out with you. Ah, damn. Suddenly, Feng Jixing bumped his shoulder and pointed ahead. Look, we're at the spiritual medicine department. Isn't that Yao? Oh. Lin Muyu looked over and sure enough, there were dozens of tents set up in front of the spirit medicine department, as well as a special tent for treating injuries. The staff of the spirit medicine department were busy delivering food and drink, and one of the beautiful figures taking the pulse was Chu Yao. Big sister Chu Yao? Lin Muyu called from afar with a bright smile. Chu Yao's entire body trembled. She turned around and saw that it was Lin Muyu. She immediately lifted her skirt and walked over in a few steps. She opened her arms and hugged him, smiling extremely sweetly. Stinking brat, you're finally back. Yes, I've been busy all day and didn't come to see you. I can't believe we met here. It's really fate. Chu Yao glared at him. You heartless brat. You won't come to see me even if I don't come to see you? Are you guys delivering supplies? Yes, we're transferring some military supplies from the National Treasury for emergency purposes. That's right. Those stingy fellows in the Ministry of Revenue can't even bear to take out supplies to help the victims. I'm thinking of reporting them to Shaoyin. No need to report them. We'll deal with them later. Good. How long will you be back at Shattered Cauldron Realm? I'm afraid it will be a long time. There's going to be a war soon. Another war? Chu Yao was a little unhappy. As the great deacon of the spiritual medicine department, she was responsible for saving lives and healing the wounded. Naturally, she didn't want to see a war. There's no other way. If we don't fight, others will come and fight us. We can only fight to stop the war. Lin Muyu pulled Chu Yao's hand and said with a smile, come back to Zetian Palace with me after you're done. Let's have a meal together as a family. There's still wine and meat in Zetian Palace. Yes. Chu Yao's heart warmed and her smile became even sweeter. It was as if her wait hadn't been in vain. Chapter 11:21. West Mountain Province, West Seaport. Heavy snow fluttered all over the sky. The port was noisy. On the shore of the port, a group of people riding on war horses were watching the work of the icebreakers in the shallow waters from afar. The group of people were wearing the high-ranking military ranks of the empire. They were clustered around a beautiful girl. She was Si Kongming's granddaughter, Si Kongyao. Cough cough. Lu Bai coughed violently. The weather suddenly turned cold. He started to cough and his voice became slightly hoarse. The seawater in the shallow waters has already started to freeze. If this snow continues, I'm afraid the entire West Sea will be frozen into a huge ice cube. Yao, we need to make early preparations. I know. Si Kongyao's eyes were as clear as water. She said, Brother Yu has already sent a letter to urge me to immediately lead the Baizhe mercenaries back to the Shattered Cauldron realm. Lin General has already issued the order? Yes, but I have to wait for the last batch of supplies to be sent away. These 300 merchant ships are filled with cotton-padded clothes and coal. They are extremely important military supplies. If they can be sent to the Shattered Cauldron realm, it will be enough for 300,000 soldiers to have a warm winter. Oh. Lu Bai's eyes flickered with hesitation. He said, Yao, actually, I'm very worried that Emperor Shang will immediately send troops to attack us. I heard, the Tianji sect's headquarters in Tianji City has already been heavily surrounded by Emperor Shang's army. Your grandfather, Sikong Ming He, Si Kongyao smiled faintly. Don't worry about grandfather. He has already informed me. 3 days later, grandfather will use the last of his divine power to return to the sky beyond heaven. He will also help me delay Yangshang for another 3 days. In this way we will be able to send away all these supplies. Yes, that's good. But we only have 1,000 warships. It's impossible to transport 300,000 soldiers, countless warhorses and weapons. What should we do? Your brain is really not working well. Si Kongyao glared at him and said, Older brother, you had already considered this point in Yu's letter. He told me that if I am unable to transport all the troops to Broken Cauldron Jia, the remaining soldiers should immediately take off their military uniforms and weapons, change into commoners' clothes and blend in with the commoners. When the Qin Empire's troops arrive, then summon them again. Lin General is indeed far-sighted, Lu Bai grinned and said, Then I'll pass down the order. We'll start gathering in 3 days. Yes. Also, inform the Fire Element City to let the demon monarch Nushi lead the demon race back to the Forest of No Return. Once we leave, Yangshang and Dora's group will definitely not let the demon race off. Furthermore, it is snowing heavily now, and there is no way to prevent fire in the forest. No one can do anything to the demon race. Yes, I got it. Lu Bai reached into his bosom and took out a purple insignia. He kissed it and smiled warmly. Although I already knew that I'm a soldier of the Qin Empire, I'm really looking forward to going to the place that I've never been to for a long time. Si Kongyao couldn't help but smile. Isn't it great to know who you're fighting for? Yes, we're like children abandoned in the celestial pole continent. We're only fighting for our beliefs. How I wish to return to the embrace of the Qin Empire and see the people's respectful gazes, the Empress's praise for us, and Lin General's affirmation of our Baizhe core. If that's the case, even if I die in battle, it's worth it. Si Kongyao just laughed lightly. Why are you laughing? Lu Bai asked. Si Kongyao looked at the sea through the curtain of snow and said, Bai, you're becoming more and more like a soldier. Your hooligan habits are almost gone. It's Lin General. He changed me. Yes, Big Brother Yu is such a person. He can easily use his charm to influence and change others. I think there must be many people in the Qin Empire who are following him because of this, right? Yes, there must be many. They're all our brothers. Si Kongyao's mouth twitched. She raised her hand and tightened the belt of her leather robe. Her face was slightly pale. She said, It's so cold. The speed at which the divine power is depleting is far faster than we expected. Let's go back to the port. You must immediately issue the military order. We'll start gathering tomorrow and break the ice of the port. The first batch of troops must leave tomorrow. Yes, I understand. Please rest assured, Your Highness. In Lanyan City, the entire Zetian Palace Hall was almost completely covered in snow. On the roof, the Imperial Guards were sweeping the snow on the bricks and tiles. Groups of attendants were pushing carts to transport the snow out of the palace. No matter what, they couldn't let the palace where the Empress lived be submerged by the heavy snow. This was also an order from Feng Jixing. In the rear palace hall, a burst of warmth rose. The banquet was simple but not simple. In the center was a pot of lamb that was being cooked. Surrounding it were 12 imperial dishes. The chefs of Zetian Palace Hall had changed batch after batch, but only the imperial chefs who cooked these dishes were still around. From the era of Qin Jin to the era of the Empress, they had always been loyal to Zetian Palace Hall. There weren't many people attending the banquet, but everyone was one of them. In addition to Lin Muyu, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, there were also Feng Jixing, Chu Yao and Su Yu. A total of 6 people sat around a big table, giving off the feeling of a happy and harmonious family. In fact, Feng Jixing and Lin Muyu were as close as brothers. Chu Yao was Lin Muyu's older sister, and Su Yu was Qin Yin's younger aunt. Originally they could be considered as a big family. The chief female official, Shangguan Jingyue, stood respectfully at the side and said, "All the dishes have been served. Do you have any other instructions, Your Highness?" "Nothing." Qin Yin smiled gently and said, "Jingyue, go and have your meal. You don't have to accompany me here. I have already ordered the imperial chefs to make your favorite codfish soup." "Oh really? In that case, Jingyue thanks Your Highness. In that case, shall I take my leave?" Go ahead, go ahead." Qin Yin waved her hand and said to the group of palace maids, "All of you may leave as well. You don't have to accompany me here. Our family wants to have a good meal." The palace maids knelt down and said, "We shall take our leave." After the palace maids left, they were replaced by more than a dozen imperial guards with high cultivation levels. From the inside, one could faintly see the reflection of their lofty figures in the window. The temperature of the Yin flower brew is just right. Enjoy it. Qin Yin stood up, picked up the wine pot and poured wine for Lin Muyu, Su Yu and Feng Jixing. It was rare for the empress to personally pour wine. Feng Jixing was a little uneasy and said, "Your Highness, this is absolutely unacceptable. After all, there is a difference in status and I can't." "General Feng, don't say that. There are no outsiders here." As Qin Yin poured wine, she smiled and said, "You are Yu's big brother and Yu is Xiao Yin's husband. You are originally a family, and it is within Xiao Yin's duty to pour wine for you." But Feng Jixing still couldn't accept it. Tang Xiaoxi smiled and said, "General Feng, when you are free, you should really go to Mu's hometown. Over there, everyone is considered equal, and there are no restrictions between officials and commoners." Of course, that is how it seems. Can everyone really be equal? Feng Jixing was stunned. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile and said, "Actually, it isn't really equal, but equality is the ideal life that everyone pursues." All right, Brother Feng, we are all gods and there is no need to be so restrained. Xiao Yin is destined to leave Shattered Tripod Realm in the future. Do you still expect her to bear the weight of the Shattered Tripod Realm's crown for the rest of her life?" "That's not it." Feng Jixing was a little embarrassed. Then he raised his eyebrows and said, "Actually, don't I want to go to Yu's hometown to take a look? I have long heard from him that there are many hot girls there, and they are very suitable for a handsome man like me. Look at me, I am in my 30s or 40s, unmarried. I don't even have a bed warmer every day. I want to hire a few girls to warm my bed for a fee, and I am also restricted by the Empire's military law. It is really hard for me." Qin Yin returned to Lin Muyu's side and sat down. She giggled and said, "You are really not serious. If you, General Feng, were to seriously date girls, I don't believe that none of the girls in Lanyan City would like you." "Forget it, the girls in Lanyan City are not suitable for me," Feng Jixing said with a frown. "Why?" "Your Highness, most of them know me and have seen me before. They know that my family is rich. I have been the commander of the Imperial Guards for so many years, and I have earned quite a lot. I guess they are interested in me because of my money." "Then how much have you earned in private?" Qin Yin asked with a smile. Feng Jixing was stunned. "Damn, I spilled the beans. Your Highness Yin, you are actually trying to get information out of me, Haze." "It is all a scheme, what sister-in-law?" Qin Yin burst into laughter again. "What are you talking about? I didn't say that I'm going to hold you accountable. Besides, you're in charge of the entire Empire's gold mines, magic crystal mines and so on. It's not easy for you to be greedy. If you're really that greedy, I'm afraid you don't need to stay in the Imperial Army camp anymore." "I just like living in the camp, it isn't that noisy." Feng Jixing grinned and explained. At the side, Lin Muyu was really clear about what kind of person Feng Jixing was. Since the 30,000 soldiers in Fire Badger Valley were killed, this guilt was something he couldn't forget. Feng Jixing wanted to protect the Imperial Guard's army and protect everyone in the army. The aura of a soldier was imprinted in his bones and couldn't be washed away. This was why he would rather live in the camp than buy a mansion and live a luxurious life with a bunch of wives and concubines. "Let's not talk so much, it isn't easy for a family to be together. Let's toast." Lin Muyu raised her cup and helped Feng Jixing get out of the awkward atmosphere. "Okay, cheers." He drank it all in one gulp and his throat was filled with the fragrance of the flowers. The wine was really mellow and soft, it was a taste that the white wine on earth didn't have. Su Yu placed down her cup and smiled. Xiaoyin, Xiaoxi, what did you two get from Earth? Is father-in-law satisfied with your two beautiful daughters-in-law? He is satisfied, he is satisfied. Tang Xiaoxi smiled. Qinin said, Aunt Luan, I will let you see Xiaoxi and my treasures. We found many really nice clothes on Earth, and you are Aunt Luan, so I will allow you to choose one from my collection. Consider it a gift from Xiaoyin. Oh, is that so? Right, Sister Chu Yao too, I will give you one. I have one too? Chu Yao smiled. Okay, you that heartless kid doesn't even remember me. It is rare that Xiaoyin is so thoughtful. Lin Muyu pursed her lips. If there's a chance in the future, Sister Chu Yao, you should come with me to Earth. I'll buy you a store, oh no. I'll buy 10 for you to manage. Is that so? Then it is a deal. It is a deal. Chapter 11:22. 3 days later at the archery range of the Zetian Palace. Bang bang bang, gunshots rang out. It was the firing of a submachine gun. Oh my. Feng Jixing released the slightly hot muzzle and said, the lethality of this thing is much stronger than bows and arrows. It can penetrate steel plates from 500 steps away. This also means that it can deal damage to cavalry from a mile away. That's right. Lin Muyu also held a submachine gun in her hand and said, there are a total of 10,000 of these guns. I got them from the former Minister of Defense in my hometown. What's a Minister of Defense? It's a military position equivalent to the Grand Marshal of the three armies. I see. Feng Jixing smiled and said, we relied on the magic crystal cannons in the previous battles, but it was very troublesome to move the cannons and accuracy was also a problem. As for small-scale attacks, we relied on the magic crystal crossbows, but they were even more lacking. The shooting range was only a short 100 steps, and it was very easy to cause damage to our own people. When the two armies charged, they could disrupt the enemy's formation, but the aftershock of the explosion could also burn the skin of our own people. As a result, after every charge, the soldiers would be like roasted sweet potatoes that were taken out of the oven. Needless to say, it was very miserable. What's the name of this weapon? Type 95 assault rifle. It's a mouthful. Why don't you give it a new name? Sure, big brother Feng, you can come and take it. Feng Jixing thought for a moment and said, how about the armor-piercing bow? Isn't this name domineering enough? This thing's shooting range is much longer than the crossbow, and it can penetrate light armor. Why don't we call it the armor-piercing bow? Lin Muyu had a helpless look on her face as she brushed the snow off her shoulder. As long as you like it. It's obviously a gun, but in your mouth, it became a whisper. There's no one else like you. Feng Jixing laughed and said, as long as you're happy. It doesn't matter what they're called. I plan to equip these 10,000 armor-piercing bows on the heavy cavalry. When the two armies charge, they will be able to attack the enemy with the greatest range. That way, even if they encounter the enemy's spear formation, they will be able to easily break through. Alright, leave 5,000 of them for the Longdan army camp. Do as you see fit with the rest. Alright. On the side, Wei Chou was already proficient in using the armor-piercing bow. He waved the rifle in his hand and shook his head. Sigh, the accuracy is not as good as my bow and arrows. That's. Lin Muyu said, you can pierce through a willow tree 500 paces away, your arms are naturally strong, and you have a divine artifact like the Ho-E bow. Naturally, you don't need this. Speaking of which, Wei Chou, once the battle begins, you will be our absolute main force. Do you know that? Lin General, Wei Chou was a little embarrassed. I'm afraid I won't be able to help. After all, there are so many experts in the Dragon League participating in this battle. Who am I? No, you're wrong. The people in the Dragon League are all cultivators. They rely on their divine power and comprehension of the laws. But soon the laws will disappear and everyone's power will decline to an unimaginable level. But you, on the other hand, rely on your archery and very rich battle experience. They can't compare to you. Thank you for your praise, Lin General. I will do my best to serve the Empire. Lin Muyu patted Wei Chou's shoulder and hung her submachine gun on the back of the horse. Her eyes drifted to Situ Sen and Situ Shui and she said, how is it? Situ Sen was a little sad. Late last night, my cultivation regressed to the Holy Heaven realm. It doesn't matter. I also regressed to the Divine King realm. Lin Muyu sighed. Anyway, it will happen sooner or later. Feng Jixing walked forward and said, there is a lot of news from the Dragon League. Many people not only regressed to the Holy Heaven realm, but also to the Holy King realm and even the Holy Venerate realm. I suspect that in a few days, there will be people in the divine realm regressing to the heavenly realm. It's really tragic. Lin Muyu nodded slightly. The heavenly punishment has already arrived. Everyone will regress, but those with strong cultivation will regress a little less. But in the end they will all lose their divine power. This is for sure. The key to victory in the battle between us and the celestial pole continent depends on the magic crystal cannons and magic crystal crossbows. In this aspect we have an advantage. Yes, but when it comes to dragons we don't have any advantage. Feng Jixing's eyes were cold. There are at least 1,000 dragons in the 3 empires of the celestial pole continent. Yang Shang has already ordered the formation of the Shang Army's Dragon Cavalry Regiment. This Dragon Cavalry Regiment will be unprecedented. It's easy to imagine how terrifying a Dragon Cavalry Regiment made up of more than 1,000 Dragon Knights will be. And it just so happens that we will all become mortals and have to deal with these Dragon Knights. Do we have a lot of god-slaying cannons? Lin Muyu asked. Feng Jixing shook his head. The god-slaying cannons have too high of a requirement for materials. They can't really be mass-produced. There are less than 20 god-slaying cannons in the entire army. Moreover, the god-slaying cannons can't deal with Dragon Knights at all. After all, their opponents have regressed to mortals. Damn, we're in big trouble. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. Feng Jixing's eyes shone as he said, in our entire empire, even if we include the 200,000 Baizhe mercenaries that Si Kongyao brought back, we only have a total of 1 million soldiers. But Yangshang is different. All the armies of the celestial pole continent have been unified by him. His military strength is more than 5 million. Moreover, hidden tribes like the Wolf Valley and the Thunder Spirit tribe have also been summoned by Yangshang to participate in the war. Be it the number of troops or cultivators, we don't have any advantage. Looks like if we can't defeat Yangshang's army in the Battle of the East Sea, I'm afraid that Shattered Cauldron Realm will be in danger. Lin Muyu said with a grave expression, Why are you telling me these figures? You're making me feel so heavy. I really want to quit right now. Feng Jixing was shocked. Damn, you're the marshal of the empire and I'm just your deputy. If I don't tell you, who else can I tell? I can't bear all the pressure by myself. Ding, she smiled without saying anything. Marshal Ding, what are you laughing at? Feng Jixing said. Ding, she waved his hand. You can fight, so you have the final say. I won't laugh. Lin Muyu said, Okay, let's stop joking. Pass down my order. Prepare to set off in 3 days. The main force of the Empire's army will rush to the east coast. Order the provinces and counties along the way to clear the snow on the official roads. In addition, the provisions team can leave first today. Okay, I've already arranged it. Feng Jixing was worried. You who will stay to guard Lanyan City this time. Recently there have been some news from Seven Seas City, Muyu City, and Sunset City. The garrison troops everywhere are anxious and their morale is shaken. I'm worried that there will be unrest in the rear. Aunt Lian and I Yen will stay to guard it. Okay. The palace lanterns were warm at night. Tang Xiaoxi sat by the bed with flames circling around her palms. But it was getting weaker and weaker. Finally she sighed and said, I've regressed to the hierarch realm. Me too. Qinin, who was cleaning the Nuwa zither, responded. Creak. Lin Muyu pushed the door open and walked in. He had just finished his inspection of the Longdan army camp. Tang Xiaoxi slid down the bed and swept the snow off Lin Muyu's body. Then she took off his battle robe and said, Mu, how's the situation outside? Not good. Lin Muyu gritted his teeth and said, Although we've thickened the clothes for the soldiers, many of them are still suffering from frostbite. Many of them have frostbite all over their bodies. They can't even hold their weapons properly. I really don't know how to fight this war. The elixir department is running out of medicine. Many of the soldiers can only wait for their frostbite to heal themselves. Qinin stepped forward and said, You've worked hard. Quickly take off your cold armor and take a hot bath. Xiaoxi and I have already boiled the water for you. Okay, thank you. Mu, how much has your cultivation level regressed? Tang Xiaoxi asked. 42nd layer Grotto Heaven Divine King. Oh. Qinin smiled. Looks like Brother Yu's cultivation level is much higher than ours. He should be able to maintain his Divine Heaven Realm cultivation level even after heavenly punishment. I hope so. Lin Muyu said worriedly, My cultivation level will probably fall to the mortal realm in 3 days. I don't know how the people in the heaven realm are doing. Brother Demon Emperor and Sister Xiao are really worrying me. It's just that I hate that I can't help them at all. I can only fight in the human realm. This is your duty. Qin Yin's gaze was faint. Demon Emperor said that your duty is to destroy Yangshang's army and eliminate any future troubles. Okay, don't think too much. Go and take a bath. Okay. Lin Muyu glanced at the two beauties and suddenly smiled. Are we still sleeping in separate beds today? Up to you. The rule for the three of them had always been 2 beds. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi slept on one bed, and Lin Muyu slept on the other. If they didn't, they would sleep together. Hearing Qin Yin's words, Lin Muyu started to look forward to it. Putting aside the hatred between the country and the family, hugging the woman he loved and falling into a dream was the only thing worth comforting. Moreover, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were both narrow-minded people. No one was willing to let the other enjoy it alone, so this was the only way. Late at night, the snow outside the palace was swirling. Inside the palace, there was hot air lingering in the furnace. The quilt was warm and there was a faint body fragrance. The two hot beauties were shy and pitiful. Their coquettish looks were intoxicating. After an unknown period of time, Lin Muyu fell into a deep sleep. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi lay in the crook of his arms and fell into a deep sleep as well. When it was close to dawn, there was a sudden sound of hurried footsteps outside the palace. Before it got close, Lin Muyu had already been awakened. Someone is coming. Lin Muyu kissed Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi respectively. He pulled himself out of the embrace of the two octopus-like beauties. He turned around and put on his clothes and armor. He opened the door. Outside, the snow was still falling. A person rushed out of the curtain of snow. It was Wei Chou. He saw that Lin Muyu had already come to greet him. He immediately said, "Lin General, something happened." "What's wrong?" "Don't worry, tell me slowly." 2 hours ago, our grain transport team was robbed 20 li outside the city. The entire team was robbed of all their grain. Who robbed the grain? It was said that the local people were starving and cold. Have you informed Brother Feng? He has already gone over. Okay, we will go over now. Yes. Chapter 11:23. 20 li outside the city was not far. Lin Muyu carried Wei Chou and flew through the wind and snow. The sky was not yet bright, and the north wind was whistling sharp as a knife. On the official road from Lanyan City to Cangnan Province, a group of imperial guards was already there. Feng Jixing had arrived earlier. After all, his imperial guard camp was closer, and he lived alone without any worries. Torches danced wildly in the wind. A convoy was parked by the side of the road, and clumsy steam cars were used to transport war supplies. Lin Muyu landed in the air, and the surrounding soldiers saluted. "Greetings, Lin General." "Big Brother Feng, what's going on?" Lin Muyu asked. Feng Jixing used his hand to block the wind and snow, then turned around and pointed to the official road, saying, "Someone deliberately used stones to block the official road." 3 carriages were overturned, and more than a dozen of the accompanying cavalry were killed. For the time being, it has been confirmed that the nearby starving refugees have gathered to plunder the military rations. Zhang Wei has already led the guards to capture the instigator. On the side, Guanxing respectfully said, "The weather is cold and the people without surplus food will indeed gather together. Under the pressure of hunger they will become rioters. I hope that Lin General will not start a massacre. After all, these are human lives." "I know, but even if they are starving they can't plunder the imperial rations. These are resources used to protect the country." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "I don't need to use the death penalty, but the imperial constitution is waiting for them. How they should be punished will be left to the people of the Congress." "Big Brother Feng, where did Zhang Wei and his men go to capture people?" "In a village 5 li away. Do you want to go as well?" "Yes, I'll go and have a look." Lin Muyu looked coldly at the supply vehicles parked in the wind and snow, saying, "Wei Chou, you stay here. Take some people to move the boulders and keep the road clear. The rations must be unimpeded, otherwise everyone will have to fight on an empty stomach." "Yes, Lin General." Lin Muyu took the reins from a Longdan army camp soldier and mounted the unfamiliar warhorse. Then she and Feng Jixing led dozens of cavalrymen away from the official road and galloped into the forest trail. The place had not been cleaned for a long time, so the snow was about half a meter deep. The speed of the warhorses was greatly affected. When a small village came into view, the sky was already bright, but the sun could not be seen. Although the snow had lessened, it still had not stopped. Lin Muyu looked at the houses on both sides of the road as they walked slowly along the village road. Most of them were thatched huts, and the houses had almost collapsed under the heavy snow. There were frozen corpses on the side of the road, and she could faintly see the hoof prints of horses in the snow. They were probably left behind by Jiang Wei and the others. In the center of the village, Jiang Wei was found. The deputy commander of the Imperial Army was holding a steel knife in his hand. He had already ordered nearly 50 civilians to be tied up and tied to a rope. "Greetings, Lin General," "Greetings, General Feng." Jiang Wei got off the horse and saluted. "No need to be so polite." Lin Muyu raised her hand and said, "Old Jiang, get up. How's the situation?" Reporting to Marshal Lin, "We have basically captured all of them and they all confessed. Among them, the village chief was the one who led the killings. Our cavalry captain, who was in charge of transportation, was stabbed to death by him with a pitchfork." "Humph." Lin Muyu got off the horse and walked in front of the village chief, who was about 40 years old. She saw that his eyes were staring at her. It was not reverence but hatred. "It's fine if you rob the rations, but why did you have to kill people?" Lin Muyu asked. The village chief's eyes were cold. "If we don't kill them, they will kill us. Even so, do you really think what you did was right? In order to live, there's nothing right or wrong about it. Since I'm going to die anyway, I might as well give it my all." A fierce light appeared in the village chief's eyes. "It seems that you have a high position. Who are you?" "Lin Muyu." "It's Lin General. It's the Empire's Marshal Lin Muyu." A group of villagers whose hands were tied revealed expressions of shock. However, the village chief's expression was still very fierce. He sneered and said, "The Empire's Marshal? In my opinion, you're just a guard dog." "Impudent." Jiang Wei raised his steel knife and said, "You don't want to live anymore?" Lin Muyu raised her hand. "Don't do anything. Let him finish." The village chief sneered and said, "The heavy snow has been going on for over a month. How many people in North Ridge Province have starved to death? However, how many of you officials have opened the granaries to release the rations? Look, the rations on the cart are enough to save many people. Yet you guys used the rations to fight a war. You would rather the people of the Empire starve to death than save them. Instead, you took the rations to fight a war. Other than fighting a war, what else do you, Lin Muyu, know?" Lin Muyu frowned and didn't refute. Feng Jixing raised his eyebrows. "So, this is the reason for you to rob the rations and kill people?" The village chief laughed heartily. "That's right, this is my reason. Our emperor, our empress, would rather use these rations to go to war and disregard the lives of her people. Is this kind of empress still worthy of the loyalty of the people of the world?" Lin Muyu said indifferently, "You can scold me, but don't blaspheme Her Highness. Otherwise, no one can save you." Many days ago, Her Highness had already issued an imperial edict to all the officials in the provinces to release rations to help the people. I have seen this imperial edict with my own eyes. Why don't you go to the prefectural city to ask for help? Help? The village chief laughed. Those officials only know how to enjoy themselves. Who would really help us commoners? Moreover, how much rations can the local officials have? How can they save so many commoners? However, if you guys don't fight a war and let the commoners survive this winter, you will save the commoners of the world. This is what a wise ruler should do. Feng Jixing's gaze was grave and stern. Holding onto the hilt of the red phoenix knife, he simply wanted to chop the person in front of him. However, Lin Muyu remained patient and said, "Do you think that this harsh winter will only last for 3 months? Do you think that if we don't fight with the kingdom of Shang, they won't attack us? It has only been a few years since the massacre in Lingang province and you guys have already forgotten about it? Our opponents are jackals and wolves. I have to let the soldiers eat their fill before we can face the strong enemy. I don't listen to these great principles." The village chief scolded impatiently. "I only know that I want to rebel if I can't eat my fill. People like you only care about prestige and status. You only want the world and the rivers and mountains. You don't care about the lives of us commoners. Don't be hypocritical. If you want to kill or torture us, do as you please." Clang. Lin Muyu didn't say another word. The Xianyuan sword was already in her hand and the ice-cold blade was pointed straight at the village chief's neck. The coldness from the blade had already caused the village chief's neck to stiffen. A boundless fear instantly spread throughout his body. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you?" Lin Muyu's voice was extremely calm. "That's right. With my power and status, I can indeed see you as an ant in my eyes. But I don't. I'm willing to lower my stance and speak to you as an equal. Why are you so overbearing? You keep saying that you're talking about the common people, but what you're saying is just your own selfish desires. You can't represent the common people of the world, you can only represent yourself. Your crimes will be judged by the Empire's constitution, and I'm just a law enforcer. I won't override the Constitution and you can't override the Constitution either. With that, Lin Muyu seemed to be a little tired. She sheathed her sword and said, Jianghu, take them to Fire Finch. After questioning them, hand them over to the parliament to deal with. Yes, Lin General. Feng Jixing walked forward and lightly patted Lin Muyu's shoulder. You don't be angry with yourself. I'm not. Lin Muyu's clear eyes looked at the footprints in the snow. After so many years, how many times have I not been understood? I've long gotten used to it. What he said makes sense. War is indeed built on trampling on humanity and equality. At this moment, the village chief, whose hands were tied, suddenly stopped. He turned around and shouted, Lin Muyu, do you really have to go to war? Do you know how many people will die? If you insist on going your own way, then you're just an executioner, a murderous demon king. You're not a famous general, nor are you a meritorious minister. You're just an executioner. Lin Muyu's eyes turned red. You don't have to worry about that. What kind of person I am will naturally be judged by history and future generations. Zhang Wei, take them away immediately. Yes, Lin General. Zhang Wei spurred his horse and galloped away, dragging the village chief along. Feng Jixing pressed his hand on the hilt of his knife and blew away the falling snow on his eyelashes. Do you want to get rid of this fly on the way? No. Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. Brother Feng, your bureaucratic style is quite serious. Is it? Feng Jixing grinned. I'm the commander of the Imperial Guards and command 100,000 soldiers. I'm also the Empire's deputy marshal. I hold great power in my hands. Shouldn't people live freely and seek revenge? Those who submit to me prosper and those who oppose me perish. Just like that brat just now, he would have died 100 million times in other novels. Lin Muyu had a look of disdain. The Congress was established with our consent, and the order was also set by us. Since we set the rules, we should properly abide by them. Otherwise we'll really become big bad people. As for what this person said, I don't care at all. There are too many things he doesn't know, which is why he's talking like this. Oh? What do you mean? For example, unifying the Shattered Cauldron Realm and the Celestial Pole Continent and letting the two continents enter into peaceful rule is something he can't do. Therefore he doesn't want others to do it. Some things have to be done by someone. His heart is only left with jealousy and hatred. This is the mentality of a vile person. Why should I bother with him? Feng Jixing couldn't help but laugh. Your state of mind is indeed not something an ordinary person can compare to. Look at how radiant you are. Is it because, last night he, F***CK, what do you mean by he? You know what I mean. I'm not going to argue with you anymore. Let's go back to the imperial capital and continue to urge the various prefectures and counties to release grain for disaster relief. I don't believe that the old masters will really disregard the lives of the people and continue to stockpile grain. Yes, we do need to send special envoys to various places. Chapter 11:24. Dark clouds were rolling in the sky, and black storms were like demonic arms that could prop up the heavens and earth. Countless lightning bolts were flashing within, and under the dark clouds was a continuous snowfall. Everything was withering, and the remaining spiritual chi in the Shattered Cauldron Realm and the Celestial Pole Continent had finally disappeared. The heavenly punishment came so quickly that it exceeded everyone's expectations. The earth became even colder. The Shattered Cauldron Realm was still okay, but the Celestial Pole Continent was already filled with starving people. However, Yangshang didn't order for disaster relief. Instead, he exploited the food even more intensely. He needed more food to destroy the Shattered Cauldron Realm. Since he couldn't return to the Heaven Realm, he could only destroy the Shattered Cauldron Realm and become the king of the mortal world. The afternoon in Zetian Palace was also gloomy. The palace maids all lit up the candles. The palace lanterns glowed faintly, illuminating the spacious palace hall. Inside the palace hall, Lin Muyu, Qinin, Tang Xiaoxi, Feng Jixing, and the others were all there. At the same time, some leaders of the Dragon League were also there. Everyone's face was full of loneliness and sorrow. After cultivating for so many years, they had all become mortals. No one knew if their lifespan would disappear along with them. Lin Muyu clenched her fists. Strands of golden light started to dissipate around her fists. Nangong Lai's eyes turned cold. Lin General's divine power has completely dissipated. The last god on this continent has also disappeared. Feng Zhanlin, Machi Lin, and the others were all desolate. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. She sensed that the divine power in her EC had completely dissipated. Her supreme being lattice had also lost its luster and turned into a plain stone. The Godhead has turned into stone. The heavenly punishment has finally come. He said softly. He wasn't surprised. After all, this day would come sooner or later. He looked up at everyone and said, "How far has everyone's cultivation fallen?" Feng Zhanlin said, "I'm ashamed. I've already fallen to the Holy King realm." Machi Lin, Nangong Lai and the others also nodded. Us too. What about Big Brother Feng? I'm also in the Holy King realm. Feng Jixing said, "It's like my power has been sucked dry in an instant. It's very difficult to use the power of law." Lin Muyu looked at the two ancestors of Sorcerer, Emperor Jiang and Chang Liang, and asked, "Where are the two seniors?" Di Jiang said, "Early Saintly Sky Realm." Chang Liang nodded. "Me too." Lin Muyu sighed, "Even the two seniors are like this." Qinin said, "Big Brother Yu Shaoxi and I are also at the early stage of the Divine Heaven Realm." Lin Muyu was pleased and said, "It seems that I'm the only one at the peak of the Divine Heaven Realm." Ouyang Yen was stunned. "You are at the peak of the Saint Heaven Realm?" Emperor Jiang smiled. "Lin General's cultivation is above ours, and he has the protection of the Sovereign Personality and the Outer Heaven Mystic spell, so it's expected that he can maintain his peak Saintly Sky Realm strength. This is a good thing for us." Lin Muyu said, "In fact he's still immortal, so there's not much difference." Feng Zhanlin, tell me about the current situation of the Dragon League. How far has everyone's cultivation fallen? Feng Zhanlin cupped his fists. Reporting to Lin General, there are 3 Saintly Sky Realm cultivators, the 3 ancestors of Sorcerer, around 200 Holy King Realm cultivators, over 4,000 Holy Venerables, and most of the rest are Heavenly Realm cultivators. There are also some with weak foundations that have fallen to the Earth Realm. My God, Earth Realm cultivation, how weak is that? Lin Muyu almost laughed out loud. Nangong Lai said, "It's okay. Even if our strength has fallen so much, we're not afraid of that boy Yangshang. At most we'll fight to the death. Humans only have one life and grass only has one autumn. How can we let others bully us? Then let's fight as mortals." Lin Muyu cleared her throat and said, "All members of the Dragon League will be organized into an army under my command. Once the war breaks out, from today on, train your mounts to charge and form battle formations. No matter what kind of gods you used to be, from today on, you must treat yourselves as warriors of the Empire and obey orders. You are my trump card and I'll use you when I need you the most." "Yes, Lin General." Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, Machi Lin and Murong Tianxing all nodded. At night, the candlelight was cold and the cold wind blew through the gaps in the walls, sounding like the howling of wolves. The inside of the hall was not as warm, and even Qinin and Tang Xiaoxi were wrapped in thick leather robes, shivering. Lin Muyu put a bowl of chicken soup on the table and clapped her hands. "My wives, it's time to eat." The two beauties stood up and sat down. Qinin took the initiative to share the soup, and after she filled the bowl she couldn't help but be moved. "Big Brother Yu? What's wrong, Xiaoyin?" Qinyan's eyes were clear like water and there was some uneasiness in them. "We have the palace walls to block the wind and the hall to block the rain, but what about the commoners? We can drink this delicious soup, but the poor people might be starving, and their families are crowded together to resist the cold, but I, the Empress, can't do anything." "Who said you can't do anything?" Lin Muyu held her little hand and asked her to sit down, saying gently, "Xiaoyin, you approved so many documents during the day, and almost all of them were disaster relief edicts from the prefectures. Do you know how many people you can get after you sign your name and stamp your imperial seal? It's not that you didn't do anything, but you did very well. As for disaster relief and war, there's me, Big Brother Feng and Aunt Lien. You can't handle so much alone." "Is that so?" Qinin asked. Don't think so much. Eat your fill first. We are already mortals and we will feel cold and hungry. We are no longer gods." Tang Xiaoxi also said, "Xiaoyin, this is heaven's punishment, and it's a disaster that humans can't stop. We just have to do our best and you don't have to blame yourself." Qinin nodded. "The day after tomorrow we will set off for the expedition. I plan to pay my respects to my father tomorrow, a simple one." "I will go with you," Lin Muyu said. "Okay." It was a tough night. Spending the cold night as a mortal again, Lin Muyu couldn't sleep at all. It wasn't that he didn't want to sleep, but he couldn't. The people's livelihood, the war, the resources, the tactics and the conflicts, Almost every detail made it hard for him to sleep. The next day the snow was lighter but it was still falling. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi led dozens of imperial guards to the National Monument Forest. The heavy snow had almost covered up the names on the nation-guarding monument. Qin Jin's tombstone had been cleaned, but it was still considered clean. The imperial guards had spread warm cushions on the ground so that the Empress, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi wouldn't have to kneel on the ice-cold ground. Qin Yin offered incense and held the incense in her hand as she said, "Father, Xiao Yin is here to see you. How are you over there?" "I must be." Lin Muyu also lit an incense and said, "Your Majesty, we are going to war again. This time our opponent isn't Iha Nation or the demons, but the Yangshang army of the celestial pole continent. Their military strength is much stronger than ours, but it doesn't matter. They seem to be united, but we will definitely win. Your Majesty, please bless us with victory." Tang Xiaoxi offered incense, moved her little mouth and said, "In fact, there's nothing to say. Your Majesty, I'm Xiaoxi. Xiaoyin and I married Mumu together. We will love and respect each other forever. Don't be angry. Besides, even if you are angry, I don't care. Anyway, I love Mumu and Xiaoyin. We will be together forever." Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. "Xiaoxi, are you purposely trying to anger father? This kind of thing should be done in secret. Don't tell him." Qin Yin also burst into laughter. "Alright, let's be serious. Father is watching us from the sky." "Oh, okay." At this moment, the snow seemed to have lessened by a lot, and even the cold wind became much gentler. The group of imperial guards were all very surprised. Could it be that there really was a spiritual connection even though they were separated forever? If that was really the case, then Qin Jin would definitely protect his descendants and bless the Qin Empire to successfully conquer the celestial pole continent, right? After offering incense, Qin Yin placed a few fruits as offerings. Tang Xiaoxi asked, "Mu, how do you plan to fight this battle? I still haven't figured out any clues about your battle strategy." "I haven't even given out any battle strategy, so of course you can't figure it out." "Then what exactly are you planning?" Lin Muyu muttered, "Actually, the key to this battle is the battle on the East Sea. This battle on the sea will decide the future situation of the war. If we win, we can conveniently spread the flames of war to the celestial pole continent and use the West Mountain province controlled by Yao as a stepping stone to attack the kingdom of Shang. If we lose, we can only return to the Shattered Cauldron realm and use local defense tactics to face the attack of the celestial pole continent. The best outcome would be if we win the battle on the sea and wipe out the main force of the Yangshan Corps. Otherwise, the people of the Shattered Cauldron realm will have to suffer again. They have already suffered enough over the past dozen years." "Looks like you already have a plan." Tang Xiaoxi smiled, "Then I don't have to worry about it. I'll just make coffee with Xiaoyin and read the battle reports every day. If you guys should be like this." Lin Muyu slowly stood up and said, "Let men handle things like war. If you look down on women." The two girls turned around and glared at him. "No, absolutely not." Lin Muyu explained, "It's just that war is too cruel and bloody. As a girl you have to be graceful, don't." "Stop." Qin Yin was speechless. "Xiaoxi and I aren't dirty." "Big brother, you don't say any more." "Ha!" Lin Muyu reached out to help the two girls lift their cloaks to shield them from the wind and snow. "Let's go back and prepare. We'll set off for the Lingdong province tomorrow." Okay. The three of them left the nation-suppressing monument, leaving a trail of footprints on the road. However, it was soon covered by the falling snow. Chapter 1125. Empire Calendar, Year 7743, November 4th, Light Snow. There was no oath-taking ceremony, no departure ceremony. The armies of Yanlan City left one after another, heading towards the East Sea along the routes of Cangnan Province and Lingdong Province. Outside the north gate of Yanlan City, on the mountain ridge where the Eagle Nest camp was located, Lin Muyu, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi stood on a high rock, looking at the endless stream of flags flying into the distance. The weather today was not bad, with light snow drifting in the air and thin dark clouds. It was as if the heavens were very kind to Yanlan City for sending out their troops. The cold wind blew and their cloaks fluttered. Lin Muyu breathed out a white mist, and couldn't help but smile bitterly in her heart. She had almost lost the ability to breathe, and now she was not used to this mortal body. The Eagle Nest Mountain was very high and the field of vision was very broad. She could almost see the whole situation, and today she would stay here for the whole day. Behind her, the sound of hooves was getting closer and closer. It was Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, Zhang Wei, Situ Sen and the others. Holding the reins of the warhorses, Feng Jixing slowly walked over and said, "Your Highness, the three armies have all set off. The 180,000 Longdan Army Camp, 100,000 Royal Guards, 200,000 National Army, and 80,000 Navy troops stationed in Yanlan City have gone to Lingdong in 2 routes, land and sea. Plus the armies from all provinces, 100,000 soldiers from the 7 navies, 50,000 soldiers from the National Army, 120,000 soldiers from Mingshan Province, 150,000 soldiers from Ba Huang Province, 100,000 soldiers from the Monster Race, and 80,000 soldiers from the Iron Blade Army. The total number is 1.16 million. Plus the Dragon League and Gong Gong Navy, the total number is 1.26 million. I am here to inform your Highness." Thanks for your hard work, General Feng. Qin Yi nodded and asked, "Are the provisions and weapons ready?" "Yes." Feng Jixing said, "This time, we have sent over 1,200 giant magic crystal cannons, 4,300 small magic crystal cannons, and 20,000 magic crystal crossbows. The total number of cavalrymen is as high as 250,000. Almost all the horses from the farms in the north and south of the empire have been gathered here. Almost every soldier has been given 2 sets of armors and weapons. That should be enough. Where's the medicine? How's the funding for the casualty camp?" Lin Muyu asked. Chu Yao, who was standing beside Feng Jixing, smiled faintly and said, "Don't worry, I've already sent out orders to the Elixir Division to select talents and send them to Lingdong. I've also brought along a large amount of medicine. The total number of military doctors is more than 50,000, and we've prepared 5,000 tents and 10,000 stretchers for the casualty barracks. I believe that's enough." "Thank you, Sister Chu Yao." Lin Muyu smiled. "In terms of preparation, we have far surpassed Yangshang." Feng Jixing said, "Yangshang is the marshal of the Northern God Realm. He has never fought in the mortal realm before, so I'm afraid that he isn't used to fighting in the mortal realm. Let's wait and see how Yangshang commands his 2.5 million troops. This is not a small number." Lin Muyu coughed and said, "I'm not worried about what Yangshang can do. What I'm worried about is the people who have submitted to Yangshang, Qinyu and Baiming Yuan. These 2 prime ministers of the great kingdom of Shang are not simple people. Moreover, Qinyu has many strategists under his command. If Qinyu advises Yangshang, then we might be in big trouble. There's one more problem." Feng Jixing said in a low voice, "Even if we use the entire nation's ships and the fishermen's ships, we still can't transport 1 million troops across the sea in one go. At most, we can transport 400,000 people in 3 trips. But if the wind is favorable, it will take 3 to 5 days to reach the other side. If the wind is against it, even a ship with a steam engine will need at least 7 days to reach the other side. 3 trips back and forth would be equivalent to more than a month. If we launch a large-scale attack, I'm afraid that we can only delay the enemy for half a month with 400,000 people." Lin Muyu felt a headache coming on. She felt that she was at her wit's end. Wei Chou cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness Lin General, it's actually not a problem to delay the enemy with 400,000 troops. Don't we have the West Mountain Province? With the West Mountain Province as a barrier, it won't be a problem to hold out for half a month. Let's hope so, provided that Yangshang doesn't take the initiative to attack, and is willing to let go of Yao. But Yao is in imminent danger. I've already ordered her to retreat." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "Besides, once Yangshang takes the initiative to attack, our entire plan will fail." Feng Jixing narrowed his eyes and said, "According to the information I've sent out, the ports in the inland seas of the Qinji Empire, the Blackstone Empire and the Celestial Empire have a great number of warships. Added with the fact that the forests in the Greatest Heaven Land are abundant and easy to harvest, the number of warships possessed by the entire kingdom of Shang is far greater than ours. Perhaps. Perhaps what? Perhaps Yangshang will give the order to build a 1 million-strong navy and start a world-shaking water war against us in the East Sea. That would be great." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "That's exactly what I want." "Are you sure that Yangshang doesn't know about the existence of the Gonggong Navy?" By the time the Gonggong Navy arrived, the heavenly punishment had already descended. The senses of the gods have decreased, and Yangshang may not be able to sense the Gonggong Navy from thousands of miles away. We can only take a gamble. If it's a naval war, Chen Feng's 10,000-strong army might come in handy. Yes, I've already taken that into consideration. By dusk, More than half of the Longdan army camp and the Imperial Army had already left Lanyan City. Lin Muyu and the others rode down Eagle Nest Mountain and officially left the city. The horses' hooves stepped on the snow, making rustling sounds. A layer of ice had already formed on Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin's shoulder armor, which couldn't be wiped off. The two girls' faces were also red from the cold. It was really hard on them. Outside the city, under the leadership of Qin Yin, a group of Imperial guards raised the Empress's flag and escorted Qin Yin out of Lanyan City. The cold wind was bleak and everyone's faces were more or less filled with reluctance. They didn't know when they would be able to return after leaving the capital. The mountains were high and the rivers were long and the journey was long. They didn't know if they could survive until the end of the war. The soldiers inevitably looked perturbed. The Imperial guards were slightly better. Their cultivation was considered high, and they were less perturbed and more confident than ordinary soldiers. Moreover, they were the Empress's guards and this sense of honor was very strong. Your Highness, wait a minute. A person's shout came from within the city. He was wearing the armor of a second-rank military general and was a vice commander. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, and Feng Jixing all reined in their horses and turned to look. That person galloped in the wind and snow. His face was ashen from the cold. It was Zheng Fang, Zheng Yifan's son and Zheng Xiang's younger brother. Zheng Fang dismounted and said respectfully, Your Highness, father is here to send you off. Oh, Deity Ho is here? Yes. In the distance, the sound of galloping horses could be heard. The old official, Zheng Yifan, was galloping over under the protection of the God Might Battalion's cavalry. His face looked very weathered. Perhaps it was because he had lost his divine power, but he seemed to have aged a lot. After dismounting from his horse, he knelt on the snowy ground beside the road, cupped his fists, looked up at Qin Yin and said, Your Highness, you really don't want to bring me along for the expedition? Qin Yin pursed her red lips and said, Deity Ho, you're old and I don't want you to suffer the pain of the bumpy journey. This old subject thanks Your Highness for your concern, but... Zheng Yifan frowned and said, Even if Your Highness doesn't bring this old subject along, at least bring this old subject's 8,000 soldiers from the Divine Might Battalion with me. The soldiers all look forward to the day when they can serve the Empire, slay the enemy and make contributions. Qin Yin shook her head. Deity Ho, the Imperial capital needs the protection of you and the God Might Battalion. Antlian's Zither Dragon army is far from enough, so please leave the God Might Battalion behind and replace the Imperial guards to protect the Imperial capital. Your Highness, you're assured to let me guard Lanyan City? Zheng Yifan seemed a little surprised. Why wouldn't I be assured? Qin Yin smiled faintly. Her beautiful smile was like a wisp of spring wind in the cold winter, and it warmed people's hearts. I thank Your Highness for your trust. Zheng Yifan knelt on the ground and bowed, then said respectfully, I will definitely wish Your Highness and Lin General victory in the Imperial capital. I hope that you can unify the Celestial Pole as soon as possible, and let the banner of Great Qin spread throughout the world. Yes, you will. The weather is cold, Deity Ho should go back and rest early. Yes, Your Highness. Zheng Yifan slowly stood up, and he didn't bother to wipe the snow on his knees and pants. He just watched as Qin Yin and the others left and disappeared into the curtain of snow. Father. Zheng Fang was now a middle-aged man with a mustache. He said, Is Your Highness really willing to hand over the defense of Lanyan City to the Zheng family? Zheng Yifan's old eyes shone brightly. He said, After so many years, Your Highness is finally willing to believe in the loyalty of the Divine Marquis residents? Then we will do our best to serve the Empire and defend Lanyan City. As long as the Imperial capital exists, we will exist. If the Imperial capital falls, the Zheng family will also fall. Yes, Father. 2 days later, Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Feng Jixing were in the command center of the Empire's army. They had already arrived at the outskirts of Five Valleys City. Tents had already been set up outside the city. They immediately fed the horses, ate their meals and took a short rest. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, Lin Muyu had a tent alone and didn't stay with Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. After all, in the eyes of the Empire's soldiers, Qin Yin was still the Empress, and Lin Muyu was still the Marshal. Even though they were a couple, people would gossip about them if they stayed together. No one knew about the deep palace of Zetian Palace, but it was different when they were on the march. The body of an ordinary person would be exhausted after running for 2 days and 2 nights. The moment Lin Muyu touched the pillow, she fell into a deep sleep. Even the sound of snow falling on the tent and the guards sweeping away the snow on the tent could barely be heard. The next day the half-asleep Lin Muyu was awakened by the cheers outside. He got up, put on his armor and walked out of the tent. He heard the cheers of the soldiers. The snow has stopped. The sun is out, that's great. The sun is out? Lin Muyu turned around and a ray of golden light shone on his face. Oh, the sun is really out. The heavenly punishment had ended and the purpose of punishment had been achieved. However, everyone had become ordinary people. What was the next step of the heavens? Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and frowned. He could no longer sense the aura of the heavenly realm, and he didn't know how the situation of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Ziyao was. He was full of worry, but there was nothing he could do. This feeling was simply hopeless. Chapter 11:26. In the Ba Wasteland realm, there was a gigantic purple vine that reached into the clouds. There was a person trapped in the cage-like vine. The vine's thorns pierced into his body and quickly absorbed what little divine power he had left. Strands of faint purple demonic aura swirled around him, causing the entire Ba Wasteland realm to lose its color. It was as if it had fallen into a deathly stillness. Finally, the demonic aura gathered and condensed into a huge figure. It was a person shackled by a huge metal chain. His body was filled with demonic aura, and his face was filled with arrogance and viciousness. He chuckled and said, 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, it's been a long time. I never thought you would end up like this. The Demon Emperor raised his head and looked at him weakly. His eyes were filled with shock. How could it be you? Chu Xingyun, didn't you die? Ah. You think a mere heaven's retribution can kill me? Demonic aura Tianfa gods, are these your handiwork? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor asked calmly. No, I don't have that ability. Chu Xingyun laughed heartily and said, your world has lost its righteous path, so it will inevitably lead to the invasion of demons. This isn't something I can control. All I can do is push the boat along. I'll give you the demon chi I've gathered in the 3,000 worlds for many years, so that you can establish a new order in your world. Back then you were equally matched with me, but what about now? The demon god I've created will crush you like an ant. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's body trembled. He shouted angrily, Chu Xingyun, what right do you have to create a god? Who do you think you are? Haha, looks like you still don't believe me and still look down on me. Then open your dog eyes and see what I've obtained. What right do I have to create a god? As he spoke, Chu Xingyun shouted. Rays of golden light gathered in front of his chest. Very quickly, a thick golden grimoire appeared. There were faint golden symbols on the grimoire. Book of God Investiture? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor was completely shocked. How is this possible? How is this possible? Wasn't the Book of God Investiture destroyed by the ancestral god a long time ago? Do you really think that there are only 6 realms in this world? Childish. Chu Xingyun laughed heartily and said, 10,000 heavenly laws, all kinds of karma, there is a world beyond this world, and it is a mysterious world that you fake gods are unable to pry into. For example, I entered the 3,000 worlds by chance. There are flowers blooming like brocade here, beautiful beyond compare. Wait, you seem to be chained up with a metal chain, the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor said calmly. Shut up. Chu Xingyun instantly went berserk. He angrily roared, I'm the number 1 person in the 3,000 worlds. How could I be locked up by someone? Just you wait, even in another world I can still destroy everything you have. Is it because I looked down on you? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor asked. Yes, so what? Chu Xingyun said harshly, I can't stand people looking down on me the most in my life, not even you. The heavenly book of divine bestowment has already opened the door to the demon world for me. Just you wait for the demon god I conferred upon you to destroy your world. Ha ha ha. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor suddenly threw his head back and laughed. What are you laughing at? Chu Xingyun said angrily. I'm laughing at your ignorance. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's eyes shone brightly. He said, haven't you heard of yin and yang, the natural law of all things? Since ancient times, if there's good, there's evil. If there's evil, there's good. Use the power of the demon world to interfere with the laws of the 6 realms. Perhaps with your help, you can create a new order in the 6 realms and open a new door to the heavenly Tao. T. Chu Xingyun looked at the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor ferociously. He pointed at his nose and said, you, wait. And I'll wait. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor raised his head. He endured the bone-piercing pain, but his gaze was still arrogant. It wasn't until Chu Xingyun's demon god body dissipated that the 7 luminaries' demon emperor nodded and muttered, "Could there be other worlds outside the 6 realms? What are these 3,000 worlds? Are they existences that are separated from the outer heavens?" At that moment, thunder rumbled in the sky. It seemed to indicate that another law was forming. Not long after, a purple demonic flame shot across the sky. It quickly turned into thousands of fragments and shot towards different parts of the universe. Instantly, the 7 luminaries' demon emperor frowned and gritted his teeth. "Chu Xingyun, you lunatic. Do you really have the ability to form a new order?" Spiritual mountain. The sky was densely covered with purple clouds, giving people a feeling of suffocation. Outside the palace, Xia watched from afar. She was powerless. She had lost her godly power and became immortal. She couldn't travel between the various spiritual mountains, let alone visit the 7 luminaries' demon emperor. "What's that?" Sun Feng looked up at the purple clouds in the sky. Xiao shook her head. "I don't know. But it seems like a new power has started to rule the 6 realms. It's an extremely evil power of order. Damn, I can feel it. It's very evil. It even leads people to evil." "That's right." Xiao's eyes were filled with worry. "I don't know how much suffering the 6 realms will have to go through." Sun Feng, immediately send people to search for seeds and food on the spiritual mountain. Start planting grains and fruits on the spiritual mountain. Ah? Do what? Get some food. Aren't you hungry? I'm hungry. Then why aren't you going? Yes. In the outer heavens, a golden heavenly melody hovered in the sky. The land was lush and green. It was a peaceful and tranquil scene. In the lush forest, an old man with a pale face carried a bamboo basket on his back. He bent down to search the underbrush, using a golden shovel to pick up the herbs one by one, and then leisurely placed them into the bamboo basket. A heavenly melody floated in the sky. He was slightly startled. In the next moment, his body turned into a golden light and shot into the sky. In the blink of an eye, he stepped into a solemn and dignified hall, and the other 2 figures arrived in a flash. One of them was a beautiful woman with a human head and a snake's body. She wore a long dress and her eyes revealed pity and love. She had the imposing aura of a motherly model of the world, and she held a white jade staff in her hand that was exquisite, translucent, and emanated an oppressive glow. The other was an old man in a green robe. He had a celestial appearance. His eyes were like the bright moon in the sky. His white beard fluttered in the wind. He was out of this world. It was obvious that he was a celestial being. The 3 of them looked at each other and smiled. They floated into the glass pavilion in the hall and knelt on one knee. "Greetings, Sky Sovereign." There was no one in the hall, but a deep voice sounded. It sounded like a human, a celestial, and a beast. "Fushi Nuwa Shenong, you've all seen the situation of the 6 realms, right?" "Yes, Sky Sovereign." Nuwa looked up. Her beautiful eyes were filled with pity. "Once the heavenly punishment is over, there will be no more righteous gods in the 6 realms. Demonic chi will invade and a disaster will be inevitable. The gods don't care about the righteous people. It's expected that they would suffer this disaster. But the people of the 6 realms need the protection of the gods." "But Sky Sovereign," Fushi said respectfully, "the sky beyond heaven surpasses the 6 realms. We have an agreement with the gods of the north not to interfere in the affairs of the 6 realms. How can we help the 6 realms?" "Fushi, didn't you help Lin Muyu before?" "This?" Fushi smiled faintly. "This disciple really likes that child." Nuwa also smiled. Heavenly Sovereign Pangu continued, "The Tao is formed by nature. The Mahayana heavenly Tao that I understand originates from the human heart and all things in the world. Since the heavenly punishment has taken away the position of the gods, the 3 of you should work together to send the heavenly melody scroll into the firmament of the 6 realms. The heavenly melody scroll will condense between the heavens and the earth. It will inherit the heavenly Tao and follow nature to confer new gods." "Yes, Sky Sovereign." The 3 sovereigns walked out of the ethereal void palace and stood in the sky above the sky beyond heaven. They looked at each other and smiled. They floated in the sky in a triangular formation and raised their arms. Suddenly, a vast divine power surged out. In the center, a resplendent light condensed into a golden scroll. It was the heavenly melody scroll, the treasure of the entire sky beyond heaven. The light became brighter and brighter. Sweat appeared on the faces of the 3 sovereigns. After a long time, The light almost illuminated the entire sky beyond heaven. Boom! The heavenly melody scroll turned into a huge pillar and shot into the sky. It directly broke through the firmament and pierced into the huge black hole in the universe. Fushi's eyes were cold. He said lightly, "Next it will depend on the children's fate. The heavens bless our race." Nuwa nodded and remained silent. Shino grabbed the bamboo basket and disappeared in the sky without a word. Shattered Cauldron Realm. Outside the Winter Frost City, snow was falling. In the distance there was a group of people. It was the 30,000-strong cavalry led by Lin Muyu, Qin Yin and the others. The sound of the horses' hooves was very messy. It was already late at night. What's going on in the sky? Lin Muyu looked up at the dark clouds in the sky. She could vaguely sense a very annoying power beginning to spread in the sky. It's the invasion of evil energy. Tang Xiaoxi's heart was the purest and most sincere. She hated the aura of the demonic realm even more. At this moment, a beam of golden light appeared like a ribbon and pierced through the purple clouds formed by the demonic energy. It was like a ray of light in the darkness. "What is that?" Lin Muyu asked. "I don't know." Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi shook their heads. Feng Jixing's eyes lit up. He pointed into the distance and said, "You look over there. There's an army that arrived at the Winter Frost City almost at the same time as us." "Whose army is that?" "It looks very majestic." In the darkness of the night, the torches illuminated the things in the near distance. Immediately, one could see many ugly giants walking in the dark, carrying heavy iron armors on their backs and holding simple sharp blades in their hands. Each of them had thick shells and sharp teeth. They looked ugly and ferocious. What else could they be other than armor demons? Qianfeng's army had arrived first. In the distance, a white horse galloped over. It was Qianfeng alone. He dismounted and knelt in the dirty snow. He said respectfully, "Qianfeng greets your highness." "Rise, Marshal Qianfeng." "Thank you, your highness." Qianfeng stood up and looked at Qin Yin's snow-white face under the light of the torch, which was still as beautiful and moving as before. He could not help but feel a surge of joy. He had been preparing for this day for many years. Lin Muyu asked, "Marshal Qianfeng, how many armor demons have you brought?" "Marshal, a total of 100,000 armor demons, 30,000 winged men, 10,000 horseshoe men, 10,000 Protoss cavalry and 25 giant flying snakes." "Good." Lin Muyu smiled and said, "Keep the 100,000 armor demons for now. Don't board the ship. I'll give them to Yangshang as a gift. It's a big surprise." Qianfeng understood and smiled. "Yes, I understand. As a marshal, one would not be qualified if he did not know all the tricks." Obviously, Lin Muyu was very qualified. Qianfeng had been fighting for the demons for so many years. His teammates were usually idiots like Lei Chong and Xin Xiang. Now that he had joined the Qin army, his teammates were smart generals like Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, Ding Shi and Wei Chou. The joy that came from the bottom of his heart could not be concealed. Chapter 1127. Xuanming Town, a small town only 10 miles away from Tianji City, was currently being ravaged by the flames of war. A group of evil Yangshang army's advanced team plundered countless belongings, food, and women like the autumn wind sweeping away the fallen leaves. In the prison carriage, a young girl in her 20s, wearing a green prison uniform, lay lifelessly on a pile of straw. Beside her was the person who was in charge of escorting her. The person wore a blood-red armor and held a spear in his hand. His face was covered by a helmet, revealing only his frightening eyes. He spurred his warhorse forward slowly and said impatiently to the guards beside him, "Stop being so wishy-washy. If those wicked people come to bother us again, shoot them down. This girl's appearance is not bad, so I won't make her a concubine. Leave her here." "Yes, Lord Philae." Philae, who used to be a divine king expert in the northern divine realm, had now fallen to the level of a holy venerable, but his desire to bully the weak had not diminished at all. He still held his spear and guarded his spoils of war. There were a total of 3 large carriages of supplies, and this was all the belongings that could be plundered from the entire Xuanming town. At this moment, a shout came from the snowy ground behind them. A group of people holding forks and pickaxes rushed over. The leader was an old man and he shouted in despair, "Let go of my daughter, you can take the food and cotton, but let go of my daughter, she did not violate the Empire's laws, you can't take her away. Village chief, please say something for me." The white-haired village chief hurriedly cupped his hands and said, "My lord, our Xuanming town has paid its quarterly taxes on time. Just now, all the belongings in the town have also been offered to you, my lord. Please be magnanimous and let go of his daughter. I will kneel down in front of you, please be magnanimous. The old man knelt on the snowy ground shakily and bowed with his whole body prostrated. Village chief, I don't want to make things difficult for you, but I've said it before. Don't bring your people to chase after me. Otherwise I won't be polite. Since you're here, it's not unreasonable for me to do something. There was a sneer on Felix's face. Suddenly he grabbed the longbow on the side of the warhorse and shot an arrow. His archery skills were exceptional. With a poochie sound, the arrow pierced the neck of the village chief. Blood spurted out and the village chief died on the snowy ground without a sound, his body convulsing and trembling. Kill! Philae roared angrily, these ungrateful and unruly people, kill them all. The guards drew their bows and arrows and shot randomly at the townspeople who were holding farming tools. Dozens of townspeople could not resist the arrows and fell to the ground in the blink of an eye. I'll fight it out with you bastards. The father of the captured girl raised his iron pickaxe and rushed over. Even though he had been shot twice in the leg, he still used the iron pickaxe to support himself as he walked over. His eyes were filled with rage. I'm going to kill you, you devil. I'm going to kill you. Philae looked at the old father and sneered at the girl in the cage. Beauty, in order for you to serve me without any worries in the future, I'll cut off your worldly thoughts today. I think my father-in-law will not be stingy with his life. Come. He suddenly spurred his horse and rushed forward. With a shake of his spear, the tip of the spear turned into a whirling flame and pierced through the old father's throat. Flesh and blood splattered and his head was almost blown off from his body. His method of killing was not only cruel, it was simply inhumane. Father. The girl in the prison cart let out a heart-wrenching scream. She desperately hit the wooden pillar of the cart with her head, but it was to no avail. She was simply too weak to fight against the strong person in front of her. Philae pulled out the spear, brought it to his mouth and licked a mouthful of blood. He chuckled. The blood of mortals is actually so delicious. Beside him, another former God State expert seemed to be unable to bear it anymore. He frowned and said, Philae, don't forget that you used to be one of the gods of the northern divine realm. Aren't you afraid of divine retribution for killing innocent people in the mortal world? Divine retribution? Philae laughed. George, my friend, do you think it's not divine retribution for us to turn from gods to mortals? Since even the heavens have given up on us, why should we still stubbornly cling to the path of gods? The gods have already fallen, and the heavenly Tao has already collapsed. What I want is power and status, not some heavenly Tao. To hell with the heavenly Tao. It's just a trick to deceive idiots. George frowned but didn't say anything. At this moment, the sky was filled with purple clouds and lightning shook the earth. Boom boom boom. The nearby forest was set ablaze because of the lightning strike. Everyone was shocked. The demonic energy in the air was very thick, and they could even faintly see lines of obscure purple characters looming in the sky. What is that? George gripped his sword tightly, his face ashen. Philae also gripped his spear tightly and growled, Get into formation and prepare to meet the enemy. However, there were no enemies. Instead, a golden scroll unfurled in the air. Almost the entire vault of heaven was covered and occupied by the scroll. A vast heavenly might surged over the earth of the mortal world, and a mysterious buzzing power invaded all living things. Not long after, a beam of purple light shot down from the horizon and bombarded into Felix's body with a schwa sound. There wasn't even a single warning. Ah! Philae felt as if his body was about to explode. He rolled over and fell off his horse, curled up and trembled as if he was in great pain. At this time, a giant demonic shadow slowly condensed in the air, looking at the people on the ground with disdain. The voice sounded as if it came from beyond the heavens and said emotionlessly, Philae, you have done all kinds of bad things and your heart is filled with resentment. You have achieved the demonic path and received the recognition of the demon sealing book. Today I will grant you a demonic body and confer you the title of a second-class god, Lionheart Demon God. I hope you will behave yourself and serve the demonic path in this world. The demonic shadow disappeared in an instant, and strands of demonic energy began to gather, falling from the sky and seeping into Philae's body. Ah! Philae's miserable howl woke everyone from their shock. They saw Philae's body tremble violently, and a purple demonic body appeared behind him, gradually fusing with his body. At the same time, an awe-inspiring divine power rippled out. When Philae opened his eyes, everyone saw a pair of purple eyes. He had obtained a demonic body and was titled as a demon god. Just like that, the first demon god of the mortal world was born. "Filet, how did you become like this?" George asked in horror. "Why isn't this good?" Filet sneered. "George, are you not used to the current me?" Aren't you the god of kindness? Do you still think so now?" Filet's eyes shone with a fierce light. "Filet, are you crazy? What are you trying to do?" George had already pulled out his sword. "This team only needs one leader," Yizichin said. Filet shouted, and the spear pierced through George's heart like lightning. George did not even have time to react. Filet's speed was far beyond George's imagination, so much so that George, who had fallen to the Holy King realm, was killed in an instant. Hiss! Blood gushed out along the spear. The dozens of Yangshang army guards were dumbfounded. George was a small army commander in the army, but he was killed just like that. Filet's eyes were full of malevolence. He slowly pulled out the spear and said, "From today onwards, I will be in charge of the 1st Army's 7th Squad. Do you all understand?" "Yes, Lord Filet." No one wanted to die. The current Filet's strength was unfathomable, and no one knew who he would kill next. "Very well. Follow me to Tianji Palace to see Yangshang." Unknowingly, Filet had changed the way he addressed Yangshang, the emperor. After all, he was now much stronger than Yangshang. Shattered Cauldron Realm, East Coast. Lin Muyu did not enter Winterfrost City. Instead, she stayed in the warm and comfortable palace. Instead, she brought the Longdan Army Camp's cavalry division to the Blue Wind Harbor Station. Although the station was cold, it at least made her feel more at ease. In the afternoon, heavy snow began to fall again. Inside the commander's tent, the 4 generals Lin Muyu, Feng Jixing, Chen Feng, and Ding Shi surrounded a huge sand table map and were pondering how Yangshang would start this war. However, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled outside, and the rumbling sound was deafening. "What's wrong?" Feng Jixing was stunned. "Let's go out and take a look." Lin Muyu flew out of the commander's tent and saw that Tang Xiaoxi, Qin Yin, Chu Yao, and Ouyang Yin had already come out of the tent at the side. Outside, thunder rumbled and purple clouds rolled in. The strong sense of oppression was almost suffocating. At the same time, the sky was soon covered with a golden scroll glowing with purple light. Countless ancient characters were faintly discernible in the air. It was the Book of Investiture of the Gods, also known as the Book of Investiture of Gods. Then, the roar of the demonic shadow came faintly from the sky, and the words of Investiture of Gods were transmitted to the people of the Shattered Cauldron Realm. Investiture of Gods. But it was a demon god. Everyone was shocked. Some soldiers of the Longdan army camp turned pale. That name, was it someone from the celestial pole continent? Someone in the opponent's camp was actually Investiture of Gods. This was a fatal blow to the morale of the Qin Empire. "Dog Heavenly Tao." Zhang Wei pointed to the sky and said, "What kind of Heavenly Tao are you? You actually Investiture a bad guy? What kind of dog are you?" "Zhang Wei, shut up." Lin Muyu frowned and said, "People are divided into good and evil, and so are gods. You can disagree with this distinction, but you must be in awe." Zhang Wei grinned and didn't continue to say anything. In this world, there were only 3 people who could shut him up. One was Feng Jixing, one was Lin Muyu, and the other was the female empress Qin Yin. Ding Shi's eyes flickered, and he nodded and said, "It seems that the situation is developing in a worse direction." Feng Jixing said, What is this demon god?" "I don't know either." Lin Muyu shook her head, and there was a trace of doubt in her eyes. She said, "But one thing is certain. The people of the realm of gods said that the war of gods and demons tens of thousands of years ago is going to happen again. The difference is that this time, it is very likely that we will be the participants of the war of gods and demons." Feng Jixing was speechless. Chapter 11:28. In the Tianji Palace, hundreds of officials stood in great numbers. Yangshang sat high up on the throne. Dola held the imperial edict and stood beside Yangshang, reading aloud, "The First Army has 500,000 soldiers and will be stationed in Tianji City under the command of Emperor Shang. The Second and Third Army have a total of 1 million soldiers and will be led by Qin Yu. The Fourth Army has 300,000 soldiers and will be led by Baiming Yuan. They will set off in 3 days. The Second and Third Army will attack Xishan Province from the north, east and south respectively. We must eliminate the Baizhe mercenaries controlled by Si Kongyao within 2 days." Under the throne, Qin Yu, Baiming Yuan and the other officials were silent. "What's wrong?" Do you have any objections? Yang Shang sneered. Chen Yu knelt down respectfully and said, Emperor Shang, please forgive me for being straightforward. Most of our troops are new recruits who have just been recruited within half a year. They lack training and logistical provisions are insufficient. Most of the provisions are still in the territory of the Celestial Empire and haven't been sent over. It will take at least 10 days for the provisions and equipment to be sent to the territory of Qingji Empire through the Forest of No Return. Therefore, I think we should wait for a while and start the war when the provisions arrive. Otherwise, once the army sets off for Xishan province, I'm afraid there won't be anything to eat along the way. Is that so? Yang Shang said lightly, It seems that the Prime Minister really knows our army's provisions like the back of your hand. Chen Yu frowned and said, Virtuous Sky Province has been sending out rations for many years. The treasury has long been empty. As for Eastcom Province, it was also filled with starving people after the battle 2 years ago. Now that it's experiencing a snow disaster, the people don't even have food for themselves, much less taxes. If your Majesty insists on attacking now, I'm afraid the places the army passes by will be scorched. So what if it becomes a scorched land? Yang Shang stood up and sneered, The army will plunder the provisions along the way. Even if there is no provisions, it's okay to eat people. Didn't Marshal Gong Xiangming of Qingji Empire do the same? Bai Mingyuan's face immediately turned ashen, but he did not speak. Chen Yu frowned and said, Emperor Shang, please forgive me for speaking bluntly. Since ancient times, only a benevolent and righteous ruler has been able to conquer and rule the world. In the past, Gong Xiangming had no choice but to command his army to cannibalize humans. However, we have not reached the point where we have no choice but to do so. The people are the foundation of a country. The hearts of the people will be on the side of the heavens. Your Majesty, please reconsider and never mention cannibalism again. The heavenly Tao must not be defied. Yang Shang slammed his palm on the throne and said, Chen Yu, you're just a god from the mortal world. Who do you think you are? As one of the 2 great marshals of the Northern God Realm, do I not understand the heavenly law better than you? Don't talk to me about benevolence and righteousness. In my place, benevolence and righteousness can only be fed to dogs. Strength is the true ruler. Chen Yu gritted his teeth and slowly knelt down. Your Majesty, the holy judgment. At this moment, thunder rumbled outside the main hall. It was the light of the God-sealing devil book. Everyone walked out of the main hall one after another. The mighty voice in the air had already completed the conferment of Philae as a god. He's a titled devil god. Philae is a titled devil god. Ah. Yang Shang looked proud and said, Chen Yu, do you have anything else to say now? Do you still want to tell me that the heavenly Tao must not be defied? Chen Yu remained silent. In reality, Yang Shang did not know who Philae was at all. However, he knew that Philae would definitely come. Men, prepare the ceremonial guards to welcome the return of Philae, a middle devil god. Yes. In less than 2 hours, Philae led his troops into Qingji City. Philae walked proudly into the main hall, but he did not kneel down. Cough cough. Bai Mingyuan coughed. After all, there was a difference in status. However, Philae still did not kneel. He just cupped his hands and smiled. Subordinate Philae greets Emperor Shang. Yang Shang suppressed his anger and smiled. Philae, you are finally here. Yes. Felix looked up and saw Duo La standing beside Yang Shang. On top of that, there was a dense group of guards standing behind the Emperor's screen. These guards were all carefully selected Saint King Realm Masters and were all equipped with Demon Heart arrows and Demon Heart stone swords. Once a fight broke out, Felix, a medium god, might not be able to instantly kill Yang Shang. If he couldn't kill Yang Shang, naturally he wouldn't be able to become emperor. At this moment, Philae was in a dilemma. A few seconds later, he smiled respectfully and said, Your Majesty, I have been recognized by the Diabolism. Ah, that's good. Yang Shang waved his hand and said, Men, bring the general's seal. I want to confer the title of General Philae as the 2nd Legion's Vanguard General. He will command 100,000 soldiers, 1,000 hectares of fertile land, and 100 maids. Thank you, Your Majesty. This time, Philae knelt down and received the seal. Yang Shang walked down the steps and held Philae's hand with both hands. He smiled and said, Philae, from today onwards you will follow Chen Yu to the West Mountain Province to fight against Si Kongyao's army. I hope you will do your best to serve the Empire. In the future, glory, splendor and wealth will not be lacking for you. Thank you, Emperor Shang. Yang Shang hesitated for a moment before asking, What does it feel like to be a titled demon god? Rebirth, Fillet said concisely. It seemed that he did not want to say much. Yangshan couldn't help but laugh. Good. Go and prepare. We will set out to attack the West Mountain Province. Yes. The night at Blue Wind Harbor was extremely cold. Heavy snow continued to fall without any sleep or rest. The cold wind blew, causing the patrolling soldiers to shiver. The neighing of the war horses and the noises of the soldiers training at night merged into one. More and more troops from the various provinces had gathered. In the blink of an eye, they had already formed a camp that was nearly 20 kilometers long on the plains west of Blue Wind Harbor. It was a very spectacular sight. Thud, thud, thud. The sound of horse hooves echoed in the snow on the coast. The white-robed Lin Muyu led Wei Chou and Situ Sen to patrol the camp. This was also something that Marshal Lin Muyu had to do every day. The camp was too long, so it was necessary to patrol it. Otherwise, if something went wrong, it would be very troublesome. The treading snow war horses panted heavily. In the face of such cold weather, even this kind of superior horse was somewhat tired. Needless to say, Wei Chou and Situ Sen's war horses. The three of them walked in front, followed by hundreds of cavalrymen from the Longdan army camp. Lin General. Wei Chou suddenly said, but hesitated. What do you want to ask? Lin Muyu said. Yes. Wei Chou cupped his fists and said, Heaven's Pole Continent's Fillet has been conferred the title of Demon God. The evil path is awe-inspiring, but what about us? Are we considered to be righteous? Yes. Why are we considered to be righteous? Wei Chou asked. Lin Muyu hesitated for a few seconds and said, We started the war to protect ourselves, to end the war, and for the long-term peace of the future. We kill for the sake of all living beings. With this belief we are righteous. But, is killing really considered to be righteous? We can only think of it that way. Lin General. Wei Chou frowned and did not say anything. What's wrong? In the future, where should we go? Wei Chou asked. Even the commander of the Longdan army camp asked this. Lin Muyu could not help but feel a wave of annoyance in her heart. The people's hearts were already in chaos. How could they calm them down? After a while, Lin Muyu said slowly, When I left the God Realm, Big Brother 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor sacrificed himself to guard the 8 Wasteland domain. I don't know if he's dead or alive, but he said something to me before I left, and it gave me some hope. What hope? This time it was Wei Chou and Situ Sen who asked together. The righteousness of heaven and earth, the vast and everlasting. Lin Muyu said in a deep voice, We live to fight. We, the soldiers of the Great Qin dynasty, are unyielding and unyielding. We never fear a strong enemy's challenge. We fight to protect our homeland. This righteousness will definitely support us to the end. This is what I can tell you now. Wei Chou's eyes lit up and said, Thank you, Lin General. At this moment, the lights of the warships in the distance suddenly flickered. Along with the wind came the hoarse cries for help from humans. To see what's wrong? Lin Muyu asked. I don't know. Suddenly there was a bang. The light from the magic crystal cannons surged on the sea, and the roars of wild beasts came from there. The Navy's warships must have met with trouble. Situ Sen clenched his teeth and said, Let's go and take a look. Lin Muyu turned over and dismounted. She pulled out the Xianyuan sword and rushed to the sea. She stepped on the waves without sinking and quickly rushed to the distant sea. Situ Sen and Wei Chou also took out their weapons and followed Lin Muyu on the waves. The two of them were not weak. Even if they were in the Holy King realm, they could at least walk on the waves. Roar, roar. On the sea, a ferocious beast that looked like a dragon but was not a dragon let out a roar. It opened its bloody mouth and spat out a large mouthful of frost. Immediately, the soldiers on half of the ship were forced to retreat. Many of them were even directly frozen. They would die without a doubt. Swoosh. A silhouette dashed over and a golden light bloomed. It was Lin Muyu. The Xianyuan sword swept across the beast's neck, and with a poochie sound, the scales were cut open and blue blood flowed out. The giant beast wailed and twisted its huge body. Its tail was like a steel whip as it swept across from the back. Lin Muyu turned sideways and summoned the dragon blood shield with his left hand. With a loud bang, the powerful shock made him move dozens of meters horizontally on the surface of the sea. His feet left a trail on the waves and his battle boots stepped on the surface of the water. His whole body shot out like lightning. The Xianyuan sword shone brightly, and with the mysterious energy of the chaos of the lives, he stabbed into the giant beast's body for the second time, leaving a long gap. Whoosh! A stream of light shot into the eye of the giant beast. It was Wei Chao's Ho Yi Bao. The shooting was extremely accurate. Lin Muyu shouted, "Blind the other eye too. Navy, don't fire anymore." In the distance, the generals on the warships ordered to stop firing to avoid hurting their own people. Wei Chou followed up with 2 more arrows. Suddenly the giant beast became blind. Lin Muyu gathered strength in her arms and threw the Xian Yuan sword. The long sword spun and flew over. Like a cannonball, it penetrated the head of the giant beast and shattered the spirit stone. Woo woo! In the howl, the giant beast died and its huge body slowly floated to the surface. "Lin General, are you okay?" Behind him, a man on the warship asked loudly. Under the light of the torch, it was Bailey Tsang, the commander of the navy. Lin Muyu shook her head and walked to the side of the ship. She asked, "Bailey Tsang, what is this thing?" "The deep-sea dragon." Bailey Tsang said, "I've only seen this thing twice in my life. The first time was when I went out to sea with my father when I was 7 or 8 years old. At that time only 2 of our ships escaped. The deep-sea dragon has always lived in the deep sea, but now it appeared in the coastal waters. It's really unusual." Lin Muyu said, "The weather is abnormal because of the heavenly punishment, which brings a series of environmental changes. It's not unusual for the deep-sea dragon to appear in the coastal waters. You have to be careful and protect our warships. At night, try to get all the warships to return to the port to avoid unnecessary losses." "Yes, I understand." You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.